Okay. Hello. It's just me for a little bit. Hiya. There we go. I had to tweet this out differently this time, which is pretty neat. But until my lads get here, it will be just I. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Table Talk, Discussion, and Discourse. I, as always, am your host, Alejo, aka Great95. Hello, Draco Kraken. Oh, I will say that I am a tired boy today. When you least expect him, expect him. It's Steely. Hey, Steely, how's it going? Yeah, no, it's been a tiring weekend and week, and just I'm ready to sleep, but not too ready, because I have a show to do. So today we're gonna be talking about essentials, as in essential books for D&D. Oh, huh. Hold on. I think I might have a lad.
Greetings. I just realized what time it was. I've
That's all
been
right.
sitting cross-legged on my floor and my legs decided to die on me and I couldn't feel
Okay.
that.
Oh.
So I'm just scrolling through Reddit while I'm on the floor and
Yeah.
I happen to notice it was 8:57 and I go shit. So get up, get changed, and turn on my monitors and see I have Discord messages, and I go fuck. Um, I may be a little absent-minded this episode
Okay.
because I had my very last rotor break today while I was doing research.
Okay.
So that put my research behind, which means that I still have to eat something today, which I'm
Ah,
going to do during the podcast,
that's fine.
and also have homework due that I'm going to be doing during the podcast.
Okay.
So I'm going to be multitasking.
Hey man,
I
don't
am
worry
your
about
second host. It's SneakyAdolf.
it. Well, don't worry about it. I'm real sleepy and kind of like low energy, so we'll see how it goes.
Oh,
Um,
shuck.
yeah, don't worry about it.
One of us is half asleep, one of us is 2/3 not here, and one of us is absent. Hell yeah.
All that back for
Links,
blood.
if you'd be so
No, the
kind.
back for blood was kind of my one reprieve from the weekend and the weeks. So
Yeah.
it honestly
Over the
it was great.
over the past half a week, I've been busy being torn in 8 directions,
Yeah.
and it should hopefully calm down in 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, that's good.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's just when my schedule ends for
Yeah,
stuff that I know of right now.
yeah. All right.
Um,
Well,
l- Links, if it'd be.
you don't.
Thank you.
Hey,
I'm
don't
not. I'm
worry. I'm
not. I'm
here.
not sure if I even asked yet.
No, you didn't. Don't
Uh,
worry. I got you. There's the
okay.
chat as well. Um.
Thank you.
Anyway, so uh, I never mentioned it, even though I showed exactly how strong Wild Magic Barbarian is. My DM allowed it, so I have a Wild Magic Snake as my
Oh
backup
Jesus.
character. That's good, Vortexus. I'm glad for you. I. Hey, man. Wild Magic Barbarians. Let's not dwell too
Mm.
much on those right now. I've been
That.
angry and anxious enough for my weeks. Oh,
That reminds me to bring up. I have
please.
a bit of homebrew for you that
Oh
I
my
was
god.
thinking. Perhaps, if it is agreeable to all parties,
Hmm.
we can review.
Sure. Yeah, the video today shouldn't take too long, and it's basically talking, and we're gonna be talking about the essential books for D&D, 5e specifically. And off the top of my head, I can pick 3, right? I can narrow it down to 2, easily. But I have 3 in mind that I think would be the ones that you want.
Okay.
But yeah, so we'll see how that goes in a
Just
second.
putting that there for when it becomes relevant.
I understand. Very good.
Shift you over.
Hey Pizza Funk, how's it going? And it's Sleepy Alejo. That's yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's just
together.
Mental exhaustion is a bitch. Anyway, so let's go to the topic.
Watch together. Oh.
Yes. Well, I mean, this is
tell
the
me
topic.
to get into watch together. And
I mean,
like,
also you should get into the watch.
Give me a second.
But I wonder what you would pick as essential books for D&D 5e. And I do have a list of all of the books, just in case you need them. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
There they are. There's a lot of them. And some of them aren't. Yeah, there's like 49 books, and some of these haven't come out yet, and some of these I think are just coming out. There's one that's called Sleep is Awesome. You're right. There's one that is called what is it? Hold on. It's one of the Fizban's Treasury of Dragons that's been talked about recently. Apparently that's either come out or is coming out, and apparently it has come out. Okay, so apparently it has sub races of Dragonborn, which I'm a fan of. I like Dragonborn.
It is, at least in the circles I know of, it's widely kind of liked.
I'm sure it is. I don't see how it couldn't be. It's dragon stuff. Everybody likes dragon stuff.
Yes, but there were more. There were some. They had other sub races too. I forget what it was in Fizban's.
Okay.
I forget. But I know that literally them having sub races of Dragonborn is new information for me.
Oh, okay.
The people that liked it did not mention the Dragonborn.
Fizban's has the best ranger that has ever existed in 5e. Is that the dragon one? The Drake?
Yeah,
Drake one?
I don't know. Maybe?
Hold on. I'm gonna look up the content that they've introduced, because this is part of...
I'm going to eat my breakfast / lunch / supper.
Please do. I see an article here that says Fizban's Treasury of Dragons is a player's handbook made just for dungeon masters, which makes me cringe. Drake Warden. That's the ranger, isn't it? That's the one that people like.
Maybe?
It's the Drake Rider. Okay, Drake Rider is the one. Okay.
Yeah, because someone had mentioned that on Reddit that magical items are very hardy, kind of you can't just destroy them via conventional means.
Okay.
A la Gimli in the One Ring.
Right.
And you could throw a magical item in a pocket of lava, and it would just sink to the bottom and it would stay there. And then you could choose to give your Drake fire resistance, which stacks with its fire resistance already to become fire immunity. And later on it could fish the magic item out for you. Which I'm like, wow, such a cool concept. Too bad that a locket or something won't sink in lava, because lava is, at the end of the day, just because it moves, people think, oh, it's liquid. Things can sink right to it. lava's denser than your locket, and is thus your locket is going to float.
Yeah, it'll just go down into wherever it's going, and then it'll become part of the new terrain when it cools off.
Plus, like, you're throwing a significantly cooler item that, like, you can't superheat, which means, like, it's going to form a little pearl of stone around it.
Good luck digging that out, yeah.
No.
So I have a Reddit post because RD&D Next is a thing, and they say what are in there. And this is what we know from, this is 4 months ago. So this isn't everything that's in there, but the first thing I see is that it reintroduced gem dragons, which is awesome. Gem dragons are sick. Dragon lair maps, personality traits for each type of dragon, new regional effects, new layer actions, dragon horde tables, and some adventure hooks. Some lore for the dragons. Lore for Bahamut and Tiamat. Moonstone dragons from the Feywild. No mention of stats from this article. They might be in there. Somebody else who has it might know.
Yeah, I'd heard about the Tiamat and Bahamut lore.
Okay. References to Dragonlance and the Council of Worms. The Drake Warden Ranger, the Ascendant Dragon Monk, the new Draconic Ancestries for Dragonborn, Chromatic, Gem, and Metallic. Okay. New feats, new spells, new magic items, dragon gifts, including Echo of Dragonsight, very rare, lets you contact other plane as a ritual to contact the dragon. Huh.
So it's all dragon stuff.
Yeah, horde items, and then bestiaries with a bunch of dragons and sea serpents and all that. Eye Drake? Huh. Yeah, so that seems neat. Cool. Well, if people are a fan of it, that's awesome. It seems like it's got a lot of content in it that would be rather cool. Wouldn't call it necessary, but I would say it's sick.
Yeah. Which, by the way, before we delve into the video,
sure,
would you like to contribute your opinions on which D&D books you should buy?
Well, you never did, so I guess I will go first. Yes. But you're eating, so I understand. So, how dare you, GM? My character's locket ignores properties of matter. Fair enough. So obviously the first one I would say is the PHB, the Player's Handbook. It is essential. It is number one. If you get nothing else, you get the Player's Handbook. Second, I would say Xanathar's Guide. Legitimately, I think Xanathar's Guide.
So far.
Okay, I think Xanathar's Guide is the best supplement. Just because of because
I find my first contention.
Interesting. Just because of, and that is, I only own Xanathar's Guide. It's like the supplement of it, and I really only pay attention to it. Though I do use stuff from Volo's and Mordenkainen's. Tasha's, I don't care. It's there. And sure, there's stuff in it that's cool, but but yeah, I think Xanathar's is overall very good because it gives you a lot of ideas for rulings for how tools are used with different skills, not necessarily the ones that you would expect, in order to make different checks. It gives you a bunch of classes, of course, subclasses, which is always just nice to have. It's not necessary, I would say, but it's definitely nice to have. It gives you... oh god, my brain. It gives you some new spells and such. Like, it is overall a beneficial thing, I think, for a player and a DM. in order to understand a lot more of your, like, how the mechanics can work in certain aspects, as well as give you more content options. I then would say for my third pick, I would be iffy on it, because I feel like you could still do it without it, but the monster manual is something that would be kind of essential to some, not to all, because it has the detailed stats, and you can kind of use them as templates in order to create other monsters and really have that baseline.
I have a contention, but I agree overall. We'll
I
get
understand.
into that later.
So those are the three that I would pick. All the other ones are great. Well, I don't agree with that. Why would I say that? All the other ones are yeah, anyway. All the other ones are there. They have some good, some bad stuff, I would say, but I don't think any of the other ones are necessary, you know? I'm willing to be convinced otherwise.
So,
yeah, before you begin, can we just both agree that any of the adventures are not necessary at all, ever?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. No adventures, no... There's an Extra Life charity content, apparently, that I had never even heard of this stuff before. I assume it's a bunch more adventures and stuff. I don't know, but I don't think they're necessary in the slightest. Most of the campaign settings I wouldn't say are necessary unless you seriously need a specific, like, campaign setting for what you want to do. Which would be, like, I'm thinking more on the lines of not just running something that's in its own world that you want to adapt, but something that you want to do yourself, you know? Like, these things would be good for you in that case. Anyway, please regale me with your picks.
As for quote-unquote necessary, the only truly necessary book to get a feel for 5th edition is the Player's Handbook.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else will meet the description of quote-unquote necessary.
Yep.
However, there are various other books which I would recommend, which that you pick up or at least look at as a potential DM.
Okay.
The first of which is the Monster Manual, and I'm just going to go down through these in the order that you list them to me, Alejo.
Sure. Yeah. The order
they're not in any particular preference.
Mm-hmm.
These are just books I recommend. Monster Manual, because it gives you a good feel for the challenge rating system. And if you were to create your own monsters, then basing them off of what you find in the Monster Manual and then tweaking them or creating something totally new, knowing how it fits in the challenge rating system and how it affects important mechanics such as action economy. The Monster Manual is an invaluable tool. I still look at mine, even though I know various monsters and what their CRs are, like, by heart. Like, I just want to compare.
Right.
And go, all right, yes, its AC is exactly this, its HP is this, it can do this many attacks per turn, each attack deals roughly this, it's this CR. And Monster Manual can also be important because I would recommend the Pathfinder Bestiaries 1, 2, and I personally have 3. At the very least, take a look at Pathfinder Bestiary 1, even if you don't buy it, because it can be... The Pathfinder monsters are really fucking cool and can help inspire you to create your own D&D based monsters. They've helped me out with a mini arc idea planned that's
Sure.
entirely plant-based. Um,
Okay.
and there's a lot of overlap in the CR system. Numbers are of course inflated in Pathfinder 2e relative to 5e.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to want to nerf uh whole just across the board, AC, HP, stuff like that.
Sure.
You don't want to throw a CR2 monster that has an AC of 34 at
Yeah.
your players.
I do want to address this really quick. Slay says, I wouldn't say 5e CR is good, and neither would we. In the sense of it being always, accurate.
Yeah,
But it is a good baseline for you to understand what they're trying to go for, and
yes.
using
Okay,
it,
that, yeah.
yeah, using it as a way of kind of more using it as a laboratory experiment, if you will, with your players to kind of figure out what exactly the CR is and what it means
Yeah.
against your players is something that I think is very valuable.
CR is something I always take with 3 grains of salt.
As you should.
I pause and I consider, does this fit, and if so, why or why not? Um, it's not a perfect system, but it does generally do, I think, what it's meant to do. If I'm ill prepared or sometimes lazy, shocker, I know. And a session pops up and like there's gonna be a combat and I go and I flip through the monster manual and I go CR3 monster, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
I can rip it straight from the book and it will more than likely be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I might nerf AC or HP literally even slightly because it takes a minute to do. Yeah, I would say 5e CR is quote unquote like good. I would not say it's perfect. It like it is the C plus system. It's enough to, and it's passing, but it's debatable. A bit questionable. So yeah, I would recommend just take a gander at Pathfinder 2e or even 1e monsters and just go like, how might I adapt this into my campaign, or how might this inspire a monster?
Yeah.
Volos, again, wouldn't recommend purchasing it, but do definitely take a gander. It's been very useful for me. And same thing with Xanathars. I've only briefly skimmed Xanathars because I received it as a Christmas present last Christmas, and admittedly, despite the fact that it is now October, I still haven't fully. No, God, no, it's November. Fuck.
Yeah, your months are getting closer to a year.
I still haven't looked through it in depth, but
I would recommend,
I was
personally
impressed with what I saw. I kind of like skimmed it and went, oh, that's nice, and I put it on the pile of huge pile of like what 13 D&D books I have. And there it stayed under the player's handbook, where I never. The player's handbook is always on top. Why would I look to books 2 through 14?
Fair enough.
And Mordenkainen's Tomb of Foes. This is where Alejo's and I's opinions actually kind of swap. Because Alejo definitely recommended Xanathars, and Mordenkainen's was pretty good. With my experience with Xanathars is pretty good, and I would definitely recommend Mordenkainen's.
Please tell me why.
The bone claw, because I'm an edgy boy,
Oh,
and
they're just that.
I like bone claws, and I like deathlocks, and
Okay, deathlocks are cool. Yeah.
I like how much it's gone into fleshing out Githyanki versus Githzerai. I like how much
Okay.
fleshing out it's done of the Blood Wars.
Okay.
Um,
So it's more for the lore, really.
yeah, I like the lore. I like the fact that Githyanki and Githzerai had actual stat blocks. Um, I
Mm,
like
I
that
thought
there's
they
a
did.
bunch of not in 5e to my
In
knowledge.
Monster Manual, I thought they did. I could be wrong. What I
Maybe
remember, the in Mordenkainen's they added like other things as well. Though maybe I'm just my everything is mixed together. I don't know.
it does have a ton of enemies which tickle my fancy as pretty
Yeah,
cool. Because
I'll
I
go
know
check.
at least personally when I was developing my Elder Scrolls campaign,
Mm,
I took I borrowed my friend's copy of Mordenkainen's,
mm.
and I took photos of like every second or third page in that book, and added little notes in where they fit, like in the lore of my world.
Yeah, wait, no,
Um,
this added Githyanki Gish, Githyanki Kithrak. The base ones were in the monster manual.
oh, I
Um,
must have
yeah,
missed those.
these are just like the special variants they added. That was what Mordenkainen's
Yeah,
really
I
was
know.
about.
Yeah, Mordenkainen's had like Shadow Dancer and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it had like more of what you had already known about, basically.
Yeah.
For Gith,
Maybe
158
it's
in your monster manual. Githyanki, Githzerai are there.
maybe it's just because like when I read about them in the monster manual, Githyanki gets like the Gith in
Mm-hmm.
general, like I just didn't know much about them.
Oh, okay. I see.
But because I had the lore when I read them in Mordenkainen's, I remembered them in Mordenkainen's, but on the monster manual.
Yeah, they only have a little bit of their lore and stuff there, so that's fair enough.
Hmm. Tasha's Cauldron of Everything has some cool things if you're a warlock or like it has some neat conceptually
Yeah.
classes or subclasses rather. Um Again, it's UA and a little bit busted, i.e., Alejos and I both groan of disapproval at the Wild Magic Barbarian.
God damn it.
Um,
Why do they do this to me?
uh, I at least personally have a warlock that has a bunch of different patrons, and I roll a d6 each day to see what my patron is.
Yeah.
Um, and I am using the Fathomless from
Yeah.
that book. Which it's neat,
Yeah,
but
sure.
if the most I can say about a book is, yeah, wow, it has a cool subclass in it, then it's
Yeah.
not. That's a pretty weak
That's
recommendation.
that's really all that, like, that and like spells are really that all that it really added that
Yeah,
I
there's
really
some
thought
cool
about.
spells. There's also some kind of busted
Exactly,
spells.
right? Like it was a very mixed bag in what I had seen. I liked
Yeah,
the Swarmkeeper Ranger. I played one for a while. He was neat. Um, is not like great, but it's neat. Um,
I'll be honest. I most of Tasha's is kind of like forgotten to time for me.
yeah,
Um, Most of what I remember about that entire book was whenever I was looking through the spells and
yeah,
I saw that a spell began with Tasha's, I rolled my eyes.
yeah. Wild Magic Barbarian is also an excellent multi-class for casters because you can just give yourself free spell slots. Fuck that. Whatever, dude. If you want to, give yourself that advantage and stuff, I have nothing against it, right? Like
Yeah,
there's nothing against if you like it and all that. Like I don't care. What I don't like is the subclass in general, just how it is, and I don't I think it needed to be worked on a lot more because
and
it seems
then
like as a
the
wild
whole
magic.
appeal. the whole appeal of wild magic sorcerer is half the time it's good and half the time it's bad.
Most of the time, I would say it's not beneficial.
Yeah, or really actually 50% of the time it's not beneficial but not outright harmful.
Exactly.
20% or 25% of the time it's beneficial. 25% of the time it's fucking bad.
Right, exactly. And like with Wild Magic Barbarian, you have so much control. Like it doesn't.
With
I hate
Wild
it.
Magic Barbarian, 100% of the time it is neutral to good.
Yes. That's not. I don't. With wild magic, something that is uncontrollable most of the time,
Wild
until you become a skilled enough sorcerer to even slightly contain it and bend it to your will. But even then, you have that trade-off a lot of the time of, hey, if you want to get advantage on this next thing, you can do that, but guess what? You'll have to roll your wild magic the next time the DM sees you use a spell and goes, hey! Like, it took the concept of a trade-off cool magic thing and went, fuck it. This barbarian now can do it. You get better. Nice. Okay.
No.
The 4E monster manuals can be good for spicing up monsters. That's fair enough, yeah. 4E stuff is probably good for that. I picked the class because it fit the character. I think it needs to be toned down significantly. Oh, fair enough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it can absolutely, like, admittedly, it's a fantastically cool concept.
Yeah, it's neat. It just doesn't make sense.
Like, I think it can make sense contextually based.
Well, so what I mean is currently it doesn't make sense. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just the amount of
the balance of it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. The amount of control that you seem to have as a wild magic barbarian is just so disproportionate to what I feel like wild magic is. So, but maybe
you're better at dealing with wild magic because you hit things with stick,
and you're very angry.
You angry boy.
Being critical of something is not the same as saying something can't be fun. Fun and good are not the same. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the point, right? Like, just because I'm critical of it doesn't mean that you can't have fun with it or you can't like it. It's whatever.
Careful now, Pizza Funk. You're starting to sound a lot like a Marvel apologist.
What? No, he sounds like the opposite of one. What do you mean?
I know a lot of people that Marvel and Star Wars will praise the movies as being super fun and super original, and I say, but stupid. No, there's this, and this, and they say, yeah, but it was fun. Fun and good are not the same thing. And I go, yeah,
okay.
They blatantly rip off earlier movies, and they go, yeah, but it was fun though, and the goblins in my brain scream.
I understand. Yeah, when they say fun in that kind of context, I then wonder what they think is fun, and then I need to have a discussion with them of like how they find this fun, and for me to understand that they just don't like good writing, and then I go, oh. Okay, so you don't care if something doesn't make sense and breaks continuity of the entirety of your universe. I understand we are not the same.
You do the Gus Fring meme.
Yes. It needs some bad roll outcomes primarily and maybe some less control of the positive ones. Yes. Oh, absolutely it does. Absolutely. I agree 100%.
If one of my players said, I want to play a wild magic barbarian, I'd say, okay, and I'd crack my knuckles and I'd go, just so you know, though, I'm going to homebrew the entire effects table.
I have to fix this first.
Yeah. I'd roll up my sleeves, wipe the grease off my brow, and go, I've got some work ahead of me, but you can be one.
Yeah, I mean, and to go back to the can't be fun and all that kind of stuff, like, obviously, like, fun is subjective. We can, do all that kind of shit, and, like, with something like The Room, I can have fun with it, because it's funny, and it's bad, right? Like, it's objectively a terrible movie. Oh, so bad. How the fuck was that made? The Disaster Artist is a great movie to like watch as a companion piece because of that. Like seeing that it played out and showing you how that's made, right? That's also fun. Good movie, just because it's actually like competently made and shot and all that, everything. Like the writing is not bad. It's consistent. Like there's, but like obviously, you know, we're talking about, if we're talking about Marvel apologists and Star Wars apologists, then we're talking about people that don't see that. They don't understand like that Loki completely breaks the entirety of the Marvel Cinematic Universe by existing. The show.
Alejo.
Yeah. Hey.
We're getting off TTRPGs.
So I can go off topic for a second to explain my point.
You can go off topic, but like hold a pin in it until I finish my point, because my point's nearly over.
Sure, I'm sorry. Go on.
So Tasha's not perfect. Don't really recommend. Take a look at it if you want, I guess. Fizz bands. I can't give an official like standing on Fizz bands because I've not read it yet or bought it, as I most likely know I will. Because collection. Campaign settings. The Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. Widely disliked, I believe.
I don't know who dislikes it. I just know people don't own it, and it's been completely forgotten by Wizards of the Coast.
Not owning it would be disliking it, or analogous to disliking it for me. Because if you like something, you're going to buy it. If you don't like something, you're not going to buy it.
No, I would say if you're neutral to something, you might not buy it either. So that's a little too black and white for me.
It's an oversimplification binary. I realize that. Anyway,
because I own it and I don't care for it.
Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. Ravnica is a cool setting, but Acquisitions Incorporated. So I have no experience with it. I would like to, but I have.
It's just it's so silly. It's like the Rick and Morty thing. It's just silly, and that's neat. Okay.
Explorer's Guide to Wildmount.
You skipped one.
I did Eberron.
Like
Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. Has some cool spells. Graviturgy and the Chronomancy. Dunamis, I believe they called it. The spells in that, honestly, I might consider ripping a couple of those out. But that is up to you. Most everything, the rest of these, the extra life, the adventures, the upcoming books, like,
don't know
have no experience with
stuff, so.
Yeah, I can't officially say. But I would recommend maybe take a gander at Ravnica, at Wildmount.
I like Loxodons from Ravnica. Loxodons are cool.
Yeah.
Loxodons are super cool.
I had on my last character, the paladin that used ghosts, I had a Loxodon ghost. Ghost.
Sick.
And he was a beefy boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would recommend taking a look at Lost Mine of Phandelver, Rise of Tiamat, Storm King's Thunder, Tales of the Yawning Portal, Tomb of Annihilation, and Waterdeep, just because if you're going to be involved in the D&D community, you are going to hear those names thrown around a lot, and being somewhat familiar with the setting may benefit you in the future. But you don't need to have experience with this to run a campaign well.
Yeah.
I would just recommend it for your own sake. So if you're scrolling Reddit mindlessly like me and someone mentions so and so from Waterdeep, you go, "Oh yeah."
See, I don't know. It depends, I guess, like how much you place in the pre-established stuff, how much importance you place in that for yourself. In that kind of stuff, I go for me personally, because it's just it can matter, it cannot matter, it really doesn't in the grand scheme of
Mm,
like if you want to run something, you'll either buy the book because you have some interest in it, and then you'll run that, or you'll not worry about it, you know? Um, if somebody suggests a spell from it, you could probably just look up the spell.
absolutely.
Right? Like there's a lot of this stuff that you can probably just look up
Yeah.
and be like totally fine. And like there's that the free PDF of like the quote unquote core rules that Wizards has that you can download as a PDF, but uh, I really would recommend you just spend that $50 on the player's handbook if you have any
Yeah.
interest in 5e, because it will give you far and above way more
Yeah.
than
Your
that.
your mileage for the player's handbook is so much greater than any
Absolutely.
other book.
So, I mean, I hope it's no surprise to anybody that we recommend, of course, for you to buy your player's handbook.
Mm.
And that's all, the
And read
one
it.
thing, and read it, right? Like it, um, everything else is very much like, obviously, it's very much unnecessary. The player's handbook even has very minimal stats for things, that you can lift and kind of use, right? Like it has basically everything you need, so you don't need to worry about anything else.
Mm.
But our suggestions are, of course, additional suggestions. Yeah. So, not
Mm.
gonna lie, I wasn't aware that the Wild Magic Bar, aware that the Wild Magic Bar about, I assume the Wild Magic Bar. I only use the Net Librum Wild Magic table. Never heard of it. Sounds neat. Um, I mean, watching my childhood die is kind of fun in a cosmic sort of way. Hey, how does it feel to see everything you love die? Oh, it feels
Mm.
great. um, uh, and maybe the one that claps back could have a saving throw instead of a free 1d6 force damage. Oh, for the wild magic barb? Yeah, probably better. um Especially since force damage is not countered by like anything. Therapy session, season session, I assume you meant. Steely, I enjoyed the Marvel movies up to and including Endgame, though I haven't watched any since. They're great for reliable what should we watch when going out with friends, but I can't see myself being an actual Marvel fan because honestly I can't get over what I see as a massive constant power creep. Someone is cosmically unstoppably powerful until you need someone else to be even more cosmically unstoppably powerful, and eventually it has no meaning to me. End rant. Lol.
A la Dragon Ball.
Yeah, well, so Marvel used to be pretty good at this creep. Once Endgame happened, they fucked it with Endgame, real
Mm.
bad. In the sense of the movie isn't necessarily very good. It's very emotionally satisfying, but it's not a very good story. Um, but yeah, after that, they have no idea what they're doing at all, and they keep destroying everything. And now that I've looked into Loki, it ruins literally everything retroactively. Um Kind of like what TLJ did to Star Wars. Um but legitimately, um
So,
it's crazy. It's I don't know if you know. Do you know? Do you know about Loki, Aiden?
oh, I have a story about Loki,
Oh, I'm
in
so
fact.
excited for this now.
Okay, so I have seen a few Loki memes.
Mm,
Um and I was like, these make no sense to me.
mm.
Okay. Um
Don't tell me you watched it.
oh, I watched it.
Oh my
Uh
god.
this this
No.
past summer I went down to Connecticut for a weekend.
Yeah.
And while I was there hanging out with my ex,
Mm.
she happens to be a huge Marvel mark. She
Oh, no.
loves Marvel.
No.
And she knows I have some reservations about Marvel, and every reservation I've mentioned, she goes, "You know what? Actually, that's fair."
Good.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, no, like I can't criticize her for being a Marvel fan. It's
No,
just
I mean, that's fine.
yeah, it's ultimately more like she's mentioned in fact actually you and like some other friends. She's like, I don't watch movies and like I'm super critical with them because don't find that fun for me.
That's
And I'm
fine.
like, good, I don't find it fun for me either. I just can't help it.
Exactly.
She's like,
I mean, I do find it fun, but
when there's a gunfight, like you're the type of person to count how many bullets a gun
oh,
fires,
I'm
and
not
I
that
know,
at least.
Oh, I am. I 100%
I
am.
figure, yeah.
I will see someone firing like a FS 2000, and I'll be
I,
like, all right, you fired 29 rounds out of it.
oh, I pay
I
attention to if they
I
reload
better
or
not.
not.
I
Yeah.
better not see a. Brrr,
Yeah.
I'll have some thoughts.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, so huge Marvel fan, right?
Yeah.
Loves Loki, loves Tom Hiddleston.
Everyone
Tom
did.
Hiddleston was literally her like favorite Marvel actor because
That's totally fair.
she thirst traps over him,
But also, he's like really
which
good.
yeah, which everyone thirst traps over
Yeah.
Loki. It's whatever. Um,
Well,
um,
he was really good. Sorry.
yeah, and we were sitting there, and she like we're like wondering what to watch, and she mentions Loki, and I'm like, you know what? I have no experience with Loki. And she's like, yeah, neither do I. And I'm like, sweet, let's watch Loki, and I'll give some thoughts on it to my friend Alejo.
Oh no.
And and she goes, sick. So we get it going, and we're watching it,
Mm-hmm.
and like about about halfway through,
Mm-hmm.
she just goes, you know, I'm not feeling this. And
Yes.
I just go, yeah, neither am I, but you know, maybe it's a slow start. And we
Six
finished the first
episodes.
episode. We finished the whole first episode. We got halfway into the second, and eventually I went, yeah, I'm not feeling it either. And then we just went to bed, and that was the day. Like that was how we finished the day. Like I don't think either one of us have talked about Loki since.
Good. It doesn't deserve it. God,
It
it doesn't. But it's
it's certainly a program.
so okay. I just want you to know, everyone out there. I'm sorry if you care about spoilers for Loki. Go watch the entire series, I guess. Don't do it, please. Um. So So, I want you to know that literally every choice ever made in the Marvel Cinematic Universe does not matter up until Loki at all, because everything is preordained. Literally everything is preordained. There is no free will at all
That
until
moment when Cap leans in and says "Hail Hydra,"
yep,
preordained.
preordained. The every Tony taking the time to take the nuke, throw it up into the space when the Avengers are needing to destroy all of the whatever the fuck they're called, the aliens that are coming into New York, preordained. Fucking
All those people Ron killed, preordained.
everyone who's dead, yes, preordained. The fact that any
It is
character has made
It is preordained that Thor should have aimed for the head.
it is no, it is preordained that he didn't aim for the head, that he couldn't
Yes,
aim for the
that
head.
no, it's preordained that he should have.
He should have, yes, but if he had, he would have been vaporized and reset.
Yeah.
So
And
I
and
want
the and if
Okay.
Okay, so I only have a very cursory knowledge of Loki.
Sure.
Which may be to my benefit.
Yes.
But do they just have the thing where, like, if someone breaks the timeline, like, say Thor does aim for the head,
Mm-hmm.
and Thor gets vaporized,
Mm-hmm.
do they just, like, rewind the universe and, like,
They have a device that does it, yes.
Oh, fuck.
And for some reason, now, it doesn't make any fucking sense, because first off, why would these anomalies happen if there is no free will? If everything is preordained, how the fuck do these anomalies happen? That doesn't make sense. Secondly,
Because free choice doesn't exist except when it's convenient for it to exist.
Secondly, why would them rewinding people back to a state where they are right before this moment make them do something different? Why the fuck would that happen? That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Also, why do they exist? When did this power come in? Why is the big fucking was it Kang, I think his name is, this guy who is the one who's like, I know the sacred timeline, which is what it's called. I know the sacred timeline. Everything is now up to me, and I will create an organization that has the power to keep this timeline that I want it to be the way it is. And yet, multiverses exist, right? Somehow. He says that they exist, and that if this wasn't a thing, they would all go to war. So they already somewhere down the line changed some way to make multiverses, and yet you can't make one by making different choices because of this organization. And also, since they know the future and everything, they know everything about everything, they went, hey, okay, guess what? The Avengers, when they go back in time, that's fine. But when anything else goes back in time, because that's part of the sacred timeline, because when anything else goes in whack, including Loki, for this reason of he picked up a stone.
Isn't going back through time like a crime punishable by death?
Yes. So,
okay.
But it's okay for them. And Loki even makes that point in the show, and they go, no, it was fine. And they continue. So first off, with Loki acting in character, taking the space stone, or sorry, was it the space or time? It's the blue one. Whatever, who cares? He takes the stone in 2012 in Avengers. And that's when he disappears, right? And so then he goes, hey, this is a stone, it's in front of me, it's what I need for my plans. He takes it, and that's punishable by death because that wasn't supposed to happen, even though everything that led up to that, every single thing was preordained. And yet, there is nothing that would say, why would Loki not take this? And also, why did they keep him alive so that they would help him with this mission, or he would help them with this mission of keeping the sacred fucking timeline?
Okay,
right?
yeah, okay.
Please.
So, Kang, you said his name was, right?
Yes, we don't know about him until the very last episode, which is not good. Go on.
Okay. Kang needs to be a better DM.
Yeah!
And needs to be able to go, oh, that wasn't meant to happen, okay, and then write a fix for it to happen like the way he intended. Kang needs to learn how to railroad. I am disappointed at the fact that a 12-year-old DM can figure out how to railroad, and an omniscient, omnipresent, ostensibly, being who has existed infinitely cannot.
So that is the one thing that should completely break this show and make everyone understand that everything is ruined because of its existence, right?
Vortexus mentions improv is an important tool as well. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You would think that he would, but their improv or their plan is to just vaporize, reset, and have everything go again. So all of these people have died at some point because of the fact that a small micro change has not occurred correctly. Because they show specifically that you can be killed and vaporized and completely reset because you didn't go to work on time. Or because you didn't, like, do something very inconsequential on time. Or in the script. And so you die.
You made a left Twix instead of a right Twix.
Exactly. And somehow that will make everything fucked, right? And
everything is preordained except for that left Twix.
Except for that left Twix. And somehow you were able to eat that left Twix. And you didn't know, but guess what? You're dead.
King is a god-awful story writer.
Yes. And he is
shit at making universe.
And he is at this point,
the personification of the Marvel story.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, he is the personification of this current phase of Marvel's writers who have no fucking care for any of the canon that they have built before for them to ride the coattails on. There is nothing that they respect because the story, regardless of what you think of the movies and whatever, because most of the movies are serviceable to right? Or some of them pretty good. Regardless of that, there was a cohesive narrative that was happening that made it to the end that they could build upon. Now, they fucked it with Endgame, and there's a lot of shit. Yes, Kang did write Captain Marvel. You're absolutely correct. He preordained that everything about Captain Marvel is the way that she is. That she's an unstoppable god.
Yeah. He preordained the scene at the bar where someone delivers a compliment and she goes, "Fuck you."
Fuck you, and then takes his motorcycle because women power. For some reason, like, okay, oh god, I could go on a whole thing. I'm gonna stop myself, but I just want you all to know that I have, and everyone should have no fucking faith in phase whatever we're at for Marvel, because if there is even something to salvage, fucking who knows, right?
So here's the part where I'm kind of nervous for all of you in the audience. I have to go to the bathroom and I have to leave you alone with Alejo, who is going to go on yet another Kang tangent. Good luck.
Also, the Spider-Man movie might break that further since they want other Spider-Man villains from other universes. So this is the thing that I don't get now. The other multiverses now do exist because they kill Kang. Like, they destroy him because he stops writing the sacred timeline and then gives them free will. That's what happens in the end of the show for Loki. They now have free will. It is now the thing, right? And so the other multiverses exist, even though they don't, or they shouldn't, I guess. I don't understand it, but I don't think, see, here's the thing. Like I said, all of the writers now for Marvel have no, like, respect for anything that came before, and so there's nothing that they care that was set up, and there's nothing that each other cares about what's been set up, right? Excuse me. There's nothing that is, like, there's nothing in continuity anymore. Everything is off the table, or on the table, for them to just fucking mess with, right? They bring Loki back for nothing, right? They bring Loki back for the ability to set up more movies of multiverse shit, okay? So they bring that up so that they can set this up. Now, first off, you could have set this up way better Like, there's no need for this. I don't understand why they did this. Because with nothing having free will, nothing mattered, right? None of Iron Man mattered. None of Captain America mattered. Nothing of fucking Thor. Anything. Nothing matters at all. It all had to happen, right? That's just how it is. That's just what it is, right? I just want to talk about this shit now, and that's not the point of the show. The point of the show is for TTRPGs, but I would so love to just talk about the MCU and how fucking awful it is now and what they've done to it. Like, you don't understand. I haven't cared about a Marvel movie since Endgame, just like Steely. Like, I watched no, that's not true. I liked Far From Home. Far From Home, Spider-Man, Far From Home, good movie, right? Like, it's not the best movie, right? It's not the best put together movie. It's not, but it is fun, and it's like good enough for me to go, I like this movie. It's one of the better ones. It really is. Both Spider-Man movies, very good. Civil War, very good. Iron Man, very good. Captain America, very good. The Avengers, very good, obviously. Infinity War, the best, absolutely. Yeah, those are the ones that I would probably rewatch a lot. Because they're great. I'd have to rewatch a bunch of other ones to really really pay attention and gather up. But those are the ones that come to mind that I would actually say are good movies. Like, just in general, just good movies that you should watch. Anyway, fun fact, there was a Marvel Transformers comic. In one issue, Spider-Man shows up. Spider-Man is obviously an MCU, therefore, where is my Transformers Avengers crossover? God, I don't want current Transformers and fucking Avengers. There was a comic with Godzilla and the Avengers. I don't want that to happen either. Like, Godzilla's already been ruined. So, it's fun to hear. I'm glad you think so. The villains they show are technically from the past, so they still shouldn't exist unless time worked differently in their universes. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. I have no idea. The No Way Home, that's the new Spider-Man movie that's coming. Spider-Man's like one of my favorite. I don't actually want that crossover. I just think it's funny. Oh, that's fair. So Spider-Man is one of my favorite heroes just because of how relatable he is and like the different variations of Spider-Man there are. Spider-Verse. Oh, that's a great movie as well. Sorry. Anyway, but with that, Spider-Verse has a lot of the characters of a lot of the other Spider people that are great. And like the whole big universe of them is fantastic. Spider-Man Noir, before he was in Spider-Verse, I liked that idea of a fucking noir detective Spider-Man, basically. Like, there's no powers and stuff. He's just trying to, do the right thing in that kind of setting. Spider-Man 2099, great fucking future Spider-Man character. Love that. It's got all the tech. It's got Spider-Man. It's really cool. I thought it was sick. I have a few Spider-Man 2099 comics. I really like that. I haven't looked into too much of like Spider-Gwen really, or but like Venom is one of my favorite like anti-hero villain characters, which I haven't seen the Venom movie and I haven't seen the new Venom movie, so don't ask me about those. I don't know if I want to subject myself to that. But yeah, Spider-Man is a character with a lot of possibilities that I really like. So he's one of my, and like with the current writing, I feel like they're gonna destroy him, right? I don't. Ugh, sucks. Everything sucks. Yeah. Oh, dude. Okay. You remember like the Netflix TV shows for Marvel? Man, they used to be good. Daredevil was great. The first season of Jessica Jones was pretty good too. The other ones are kind of you know, it's.
I return to you now, and I see the video has not started yet. Catch me up on why Marvel is bad.
Oh, it's just I'm just sad now. I've made myself sad.
A stage 4 Marvel fan.
Like I was just I have so much that I could talk about, but I basically went like it just sucks now. It just really sucks, you know? Like I wish basically what I wish is that they respected, like I was saying before, the writers respected like the universe that was created for them that they could write for, you know?
Mhm.
And actually like gave a shit about making good stories and not just making something that will sell. And I wish that people were a lot more critical about what they watch so that we would get good movies consistently and not bad shit.
So I have a pet theory about Marvel.
Okay.
And
Marvel stages are like stages of depression. That's true. Yeah, I'm pretty depressed. It's okay.
That's stage 4.
Yeah.
Stage 5 is acceptance.
Oh, I accepted, but I always go back to stage 4. It's a comfy place. That's the thing. I haven't watched anything Marvel, like, actually, like, given them money to watch anything Marvel for a long while now, because I cannot be asked to, like, put myself through that with a financial incentive. But man, there's a lot that sucks. Anyway, what is your theory?
I want to grab you just a picture of an exponential curve.
Oh, sure.
So in lieu of me actually sending you an exponential curve, do me a favor and either imagine one, or if people who are listening do not know what one is, which I imagine you would,
Google as well.
Then imagine it or Google it. So an exponential curve, when it first starts out, isn't that radical? Like, 2 squared is only 5 off from 2 to the third, which is 8. Or sorry, I was imagining 9. Why was I imagining that 2 went into 9? Anyway, sorry. 2 squared, 4. 2 to the third power, 8. Only 4 difference. Whereas if you imagine 2 to the fifth power is 32, and 2 to the sixth is 64. That's a difference of 32. Big difference. So it starts off very gradual and then very quickly ramps the fuck up. And where we saw up until Endgame was Endgame was kind of the tipping point where it went from like a very gradual power creep, which still is not perfect, but I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
As an audience member, I will suspend disbelief and I will meet you on it. And after Endgame, that's where the power creep turned into like a power like spike, yes. And it very rapidly burned any and all goodwill I had.
Yeah, as it should. I had some hope, but I don't know why.
And
it's almost like they gave me hope with their good writing for a while,
and even were it to be a bell curve, and it ramps up in the middle and then weans itself back down and comes very close to the x-axis again. Like, were the power level to return to normal, and we could dismiss all of this as a fever dream, I would probably still, at the very least, I would want to meet it. I don't know if I could, but I would want to.
Okay.
I'm sort of like an ex that's been cheated on. I want to try to believe you, like, what Marvel puts forth, and I want to believe it's for the best.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I can.
That's fair.
Plus, also, what incentive does Marvel Studios have, or Disney, really?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
What incentive do they have to make the power curve a bell curve and not just double down?
So this is the thing. I don't think they need to do that. I don't think they need to do another curve. I think what they need to do is do more of a sine wave. But like not necessarily a like, significant drop. I feel like having some time to explore some smaller stories is something that we need to recharge and refresh, because literally Endgame, you lose like most of your members of the Avengers. Like the original Avengers are gone, basically. Like it Tony's dead. Spoilers, I guess. It's fucking Endgame. You saw it. Tony's dead. Natasha's dead. Steve is old, so dead. Thor went off with the Guardians. Banner is now Banner Hulk, but that's, first off, there's so much wrong with that. Go on. And Hawkeye doesn't want to do it anymore, right? Like, all the original Avengers are gone. Now we have all these new heroes, which I'm fine with having it be a new Avengers cast, right? Like, it's a new thing. And so we can then, like, build them up and, like, have them have their things that they have to go after, right? And, like, we had Homecoming with Spider-Man going against Vulture, and that was fantastic.
Yeah,
that was such a good movie, and, like, a good villain for him to start with, like his own villain, right? And it's a good story for him to kind of, like, learn how to be his own man, really, and learn how being a hero isn't about, like, always being an Avenger and shit, like, wanting to have that, like, recognition, and, like, it's about him doing the right thing and just being there for people and not having to show off to, like, Tony or anybody else. It's just being your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, right? And so he does, and that's fantastic, and that, like, really grounds him as a character and makes him, like, a really good Spider-Man. And then he dies and comes back and has, no problems. That's fine. Well, that's not true. He has some. Everybody has a little problems, but they also gloss over all those problems, like, a lot. Like, there's so many questions that are not answered, and they do not have, like, any. They don't want to ask them. They don't want to even acknowledge the questions. Anyway, Endgame has a lot wrong with it. But anyway, we also have, thank God Captain Marvel is out there doing other things. Oh, keep her out there. Nobody needs that. We can have Ant-Man and the Wasp. Everybody forgets about the Wasp. That's fine. We have Ant-Man, who's now there, who can help. We have Falcon there, who was he's been ruined, and so has Bucky with their show. But so maybe not them. We can start introducing more characters that are now coming to fruition and, like, are able to become the new Avengers, because that was a thing in the comics. I know that much. And, like, have them go through their kind of arcs, and then we get to like fucking Galactus, right? Like that can be their big threat, and that's a radical difference from Thanos. Galactus, the fucking eater of worlds, like the great devourer coming, and that's who you have to stop. That can be a thing that's built up over time with like Guardians like 3 and like you can have Captain Marvel if you write her better, like kind of set these things up and really lead us to this point where, okay, now we have to figure out what we're doing here on Earth to stop Galactus. Like, we have to get stronger, we have to figure this out, and then once that threat's over, okay, we can have that lull, maybe some people die. Can we please have people die and stay dead? And like,
sorry, I wasn't paying attention. My Warhammer senses started tingling.
Well, so it's that progression that you can keep doing for a while, right? And by the way, we don't have to keep going with Marvel. We can just stop. We can just end it. It's made a lot of money. I understand it keeps making money, but can we have some integrity, please? Like, know when to stop. And maybe we can, like, let it settle for a bit, or just do some little things, like your shows, that don't really, like, do anything big. I mean, I don't want the shows, let's be honest, they're all bad.
Okay.
Right?
I heard you saying, can we please do the shows, in the same conversation that started about Loki.
No, I understand that, but you know what I mean. Like, actually make a good like, remember fucking Daredevil? Remember fucking Jessica Jones? Like, those were.
I never watched Jessica Jones.
The first season was really good. I didn't watch the second season.
And Daredevil, as I recall, much like Punisher and Luke Cage, seemed very middling in his reviews.
Daredevil is really good.
I personally, actually, I liked Daredevil and I liked Punisher, and I realized that I'm going to get crucified for this, but I didn't find Iron Fist that bad.
Really?
It wasn't stellar, but it was better than Loki.
I mean, that's not a high bar. That's nothing. That is not a high bar. We cannot even compare the two. It's more like a crack
in the sidewalk.
So I would agree with you on that, because again, not a high bar, but I didn't. It was so annoying. It was so slow and plodding and just so whiny and was not a fan. Was not a fan of it.
That being said, there is one song from that show that I actually did like and like personally downloaded.
Okay.
I mean bought.
Okay. You didn't have to do the correction, but sure. But okay, so this is but money, yes, and I would love to see something like Galactus. So that's what I assume they're gonna try to go for, but at this point they're gonna fuck it up so hard that he's gonna be a cloud again, you know? Like just like what's his face? Green Lantern or whatever. Hey, Boo, how's it going?
How are you?
Hey, you know, we've just been talking about not D&D. We've been talking about Marvel.
Okay.
Well, more like I got Alejo ranting about Marvel and have been refusing.
You don't understand how cathartic this is. You don't understand how much catharsis I'm getting from this right now. Like, I'm very frustrated about many things, but right now this is where I can vent a lot of it. So
see, here's the thing, right? I watched and Alejo, I'm just going to preemptively apologize for this, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay.
I've been watching Jenna Samuels' like 59-part documentary on Christian.
Oh God, okay.
And I'm like 3/4 of the way through part 59. And each part is 40 to 50 minutes long.
Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot there. And I really like slow plotting, like not even relevant to any storyline or anything, just yammering, for lack of a better word. Which is why the docuseries has been fantastic for me. I said it in the car before I go down to UMaine and listen to it. And that's what I've been doing with Alejo, talking about Marvel. It's not what the podcast is supposed to be about, but I just hear off the wall yammering, and it fills my soul.
I hate you.
Okay.
Pizza Fuck says, "Welcome, Ghost Man, to the Marvel Appreciation stream."
Yeah, it sure sounds like it.
Yeah,
I've
we
been
were
lamenting.
going to. Oh, by the way, Boo, which D&D books would you buy or recommend people buy?
What do you think
Player's
are the most
Handbook.
essential?
Player's Handbook, Monster Manual.
All right, fair enough. There you go.
If you are just getting started and you want like the bare minimum, those two.
Okay.
That
Acceptable.
you're pretty much where we were.
Yep.
Yeah, because like you need the Player's Handbook because that's what has everything that you need.
Yes.
And then the Monster Manual, you don't even really need to use it. It's just that it gives you context for a lot of the monsters and shit.
Yeah.
And we hit the point where you are now exactly what we both said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need the Player's Handbook. Monsters Manual gives a good feel for monsters.
Yep.
Looking at supplementary material can help, but is not necessary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can find it online.
The only supplement that I recommended strongly was Xanathar's.
And I recommended Mordenkainen's.
Yep.
I suppose Volo's Guide to Monsters would be good because it does give you more races to work with.
Hey, you know what? Now we've got the Trinity.
There it is.
What was that? The other one that you guys recommended?
Well, that's the other one that was like on the table, really, for any.
Yeah, it was on the table. Like it was there were 3 Pokemon, and Alejo picked Xanathar's, and I said, cool, and I was Gary, and I picked the Squirtle to Alejo's Charmander, and I picked Mordenkainen's. And
then I picked the Chikorita.
Yes.
The Bulbasaur,
which is Volo.
Yes.
The superior one.
I would say Bulbasaur, sure.
No. I said Chikorita.
Oh, sorry, no. I can't agree with that.
Yeah, nah.
It's okay to be wrong.
Yeah, it's okay for you to be. I understand.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, we were gonna watch a video.
Okay.
So we should probably
now
do
that
that.
our third host is here, we can start the podcast.
I recommend Tosh's due to the sweet wild barbarian that Gridon likes. Stop. Anyway, okay.
Whoever said that, consider
Pizza
yourself
Folk.
banned. I will get around to it tomorrow.
Okay.
I promise I won't forget.
So, all right. Well, let's move on to the video that we're supposed to be talking about. I will have a rant about stuff later, maybe. All right, catch you guys later. That was an extremely satisfying rant from Steely.
He'll end the stream and then he'll rant to both of us.
No,
please.
I won't.
Guys, don't leave. Help.
No, I won't.
Donate money so Alejo's drowned out.
So sorry for initially bringing up the wild magic snake. No, you're fine. Don't worry about it. It's totally fine. Anyway, so this video is brought to us by let me get my notes here. Bob World Builder.
Thank you,
this
Bob
is
World Builder.
Yes, and this is called which D&D books should you buy 2021?
Can we DM it? Yes, we can. I'm sure that joke's been made before.
Yeah. So we will see what he recommends, but there are also, like we were talking about, there are upcoming things, and the one that was just released, and this was made before that. So, yeah. Let's see. Oh, actually, before we begin, one other thing that I do want to note on this topic is if 5.5 or whatever it is to be believed that's coming. Bob the Builder? Okay, now I'm really gone. Okay, see you, Steely. So if 5.5 is coming and that's like actually a thing that's happening, I would then want to look at that book and then see if it's something that I would call essential. If it really does tweak everything, you know. So that's a to be determined to be either added to my picks or not. Because from what people are saying, at least, is that that's going to be basically essential because of the changes. But we'll see.
There are too many books in 5th edition D&D. 11 big campaigns, 7 setting books, 4 box starter sets, 3 adventure anthologies, 3 bestiaries, 3 player companions, and 1 dungeon master's guide.
And there's like 3 new books coming out just this year, so it's time to actually talk about which ones are worth their space on your shelf.
Hey, I'm Bob. This is where we learn how to have more fun playing D&D together, and I already made a video about how all these big books often get in the way of our fun, but they don't always get in the way of our fun. Let me cut to the chase.
Oh, sorry, is this a video? Yeah, you're right. I didn't have that up. There you go.
Say my favorite D&D books are the player companions, loaded with character options and new ideas, including our inspiring sponsor, Valda's Spire of Secrets.
Ah, haha, good job, you got a sponsor. Anyway.
Are all of the official 5e books and boxes that Grace and I have hoarded over the years. I think it's about half of all of the books currently published for D&D 5e. And if it were just up to me, this stack would be much shorter. I'm kind of a minimalist. I don't like to have a lot of stuff, certainly a lot of stuff that I don't use, but relationships are about compromise. So we're keeping everything.
Nice.
But I'm going to tell you how we decided which books to purchase and which ones I would actually buy again if I were to restart our collection, to help you decide which ones can add value to your game. And to make this task a little bit easier, I'll be breaking down these books into categories from the silly intro, and there's a link below to my Amazon store where you can pick up any D&D 5e books and support the channel. Man, this is too much. Alright, so we're going to start way up here with the big campaigns, and the first one that I ever played, Princes of the Apocalypse. We played this for close to a year, if not over, with a couple friends, and it was fun, but from a wide perspective of DMs who have reviewed all of these books, Princes of the Apocalypse is widely considered to be one of, if not the worst hardcover campaigns put out by Wizards of the Coast. It's focused on this clashing of elemental forces, specifically these princes of elemental evil. There's one here, don't remember his name. I think the main problem for this was, at least for our characters, lack of motivation to actually do the quest. My character, specifically, I created his backstory around this delegation that you're seeking in the first few levels of the game, but eventually they just kind of phase out and you're never supposed to find them. And so unless you are really into this theme of elemental forces working against each other, trying to, well, they're sort of working together against people in general, everyone on the surface, because they're all in this one giant dungeon, even though there's these different cohorts of stuff. Unless you're super into that, don't get this book. And let's put that over here. The second big adventure book that Grace and I bought, or really...
Okay, so we talked about this when we first started, that none of the adventure books are necessary.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I that's like a no-brainer. But I guess our definitions of essential are different. Or sorry, I guess in general this is I guess more so about which you should buy then. Like the title says, so maybe it's not at all to do with what's like actually necessary. I thought that this was a little bit different, but okay.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, once we get past the adventures, he'll probably talk about the books that he would recommend that you buy.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, I assume he's going to recommend some of these adventures as well, which I would say overall, if something interests you, look into it, do some research, and then buy it.
Yeah. with the adventures, it never hurts to broaden your horizons.
No.
You can lift certain like stat blocks for certain monsters you may find notable or might fit in well with your campaign. You can lift story elements, or it'll be like, oh, this is a cool little twist. I'm just gonna file that away in my brain and pretend it's completely original. And
even though it's not, and you're a hack, but you know.
Yeah, you are a hack, and so am I. But like you can make some cool little adventures for people. You can sort of go, oh, you know what? I'm gonna draw some inspiration from this. I'm gonna tweak this, etc. Out of the Abyss gets a bonus point for me because it has a picture of Demogorgon on the cover.
Oh,
that doesn't look anything like the thing from Stranger Things.
Don't do this to me. It's been so long.
Anything that shows Demogorgon as he actually is, and recognizes that Demogorgon is a name, not a fucking species.
And honestly, I would say that depending on your skill level, Princes of the Abyss can still be useful if you are wanting to run a campaign that's good. You could pick up a bad campaign and say, oh yeah, that's not very good. Now I know why this is bad and why I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Princes of the Apocalypse. Yeah. I get you.
Oh yeah, my bad.
No, you're good.
That's what I meant.
You need 13 to kill him. That's true.
Yeah, you do have to roll 13 on your fireball.
But yeah, I think it's one of those.
I like
things...
this more when Alejo is ranting about Marvel.
Because you didn't know anything. No, it's not true. But yeah. So, like I said, I wouldn't consider any of these like something that you need to buy. And I would say any of like it really just depends on your preference. Like, you want something that's completely demon based, really, as a campaign? Get out of the Abyss. You know, you want something.
Oh, sorry.
But I was just gonna say you want something that's got that hints of what he was describing in Princes of the Apocalypse, and also that it's really bad. Get it, you know, and do what Boo said. Just like improve it if you can, you know, like, or really, it's for any previous content as well from any editions you can get, and then just like scale it up to 5e, you know, just like redo the things. If they have a comparable stat block that is a monster now, you can just slot that in, or you can kind of remake it if you need to, you know.
The other thing that I would say is that you should specifically Out of the Abyss, if your campaign involves a lot of demons, then or demons and you need some information from specifically like from 5e about those areas, and you don't want to get the 3rd edition books. You know, if you are averse to the 3rd edition materials that's already out there, you could use it for information on that. That's about the best I got.
Yeah, I mean, all of these are gonna have lore. I have,
but again, I would say, I would definitely say pick up the 3rd edition stuff because it's better in that respect.
It does have a lot more detail, I would say.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if you really need to, you can look up a lot of information. You know, that's like you can find all that stuff on a wiki. You know, like
but
I'm
trying to give you something.
I understand, and I'm trying to also give that other perspective of justifying these prices, because I will say the player's handbook is about $60 retail or $50 retail. Like, I understand that it's a lot. But if you really, like, and that's the only one that I would say, if you want to play 5e, that's the only one you really need, you know? Like, that's it. and then you're set, right? You can find everything else pretty easily. Hell, you could probably find the information that's in the player's handbook because I know I have on other wikias and stuff, right? Like, it's there, but it's all there conveniently for you to, like, look at right in front of you if you get the book, right? So again,
yes.
if you're cutting costs, absolutely do whatever the fuck you want. But if you want the essential stuff, player's handbook, right? And that's the only major purchase you got to do. This stuff, should you buy it? That's up to you. It's really up to you.
Yeah.
I think she got this as a gift, was Out of the Abyss. Just check out that awesome cover. That is Demogorgon right on the cover. So anybody who came to D&D from Stranger Things probably wanted this. And then you find out that the whole time you're just wandering through a bunch of caves and visiting a bunch of cities where nobody likes you. Seriously, this takes one of the coolest environments of D&D, something that every campaign should dip into at some point or another.
The Underdark.
But you're just there the whole time. The entire campaign is cave after cave, tunnel after tunnel. Oh, and actually, the opening of this is infamous because you start out with around 6 to 12. Like, it's a high number of NPCs that the DM kind of has to know. And then it does this thing where there's a sort of opening scene in the first city that you get to, where Demogorgon is just thrashing through this Kuatoa city. And if you try to interact with that at all, you're gonna die. I always forget this, but I played a character in the first session that didn't make it out of the first session. So I often just focus on my known character.
Yeah, what a weirdo! What a loser! Who would do that?
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Who would play a... I will.
Okay.
Who would do that? What kind of buffoon would play a character who didn't make it out of the first fucking session? Oh, right, it was me.
2 hours.
Anyway, carry on.
So the theme with a lot of these big campaign books is that unless you are...
One of the things I'm reminded of is Pathfinder 2e is more difficult than D&D 5e, and maybe you just couldn't cut it.
Oh, well, I mean, it's fair.
The single theme of the book, which in this case is
The Underdark.
Unless you really love that, don't get it. And Tomb of Annihilation.
Okay, wait. So he doesn't recommend it unless you really like the Underdark. Interesting.
Okay.
I thought it was I thought, like, the adventure itself was well written and such, as far as I was aware, and, like, it was a good kind of, you know, thing to go through. But all right, that's interesting. I mean, sure. Again, we've said you don't need to buy them, but, like, it's interesting that you wouldn't even recommend it as, like, a thing you might want to get.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's on Tomb of Annihilation, and now that I'm noticing that, Tomb of Annihilation's cool. There's a lot of cool things in it. I would not get it. Personally.
Me neither.
Like, at all.
Never in a million years would I.
Yeah, it's just, it's I don't know what it is about it. It just rubs me the wrong way. Well, it just rubs me the wrong way a lot. And, like,
you want to know why? Because Tomb of Annihilation was originally a tournament module.
Really?
Yep. Did you not know that?
No.
Yeah, no, it was a tournament module. What is it was designed to just, like, you know how we'll use the term meat grinder occasionally, where people just die? That was the express intention. Basically.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, that was, like, when you think about it, think about the Tomb of Annihilation. Is that the same thing as Tomb of Horrors?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I'm thinking of Tomb of Horrors.
I have zero experience with either, but...
okay. Yeah, if it's the same thing, because I know that it got reprinted in, like, the Tales from the Yawning Portal.
Oh, okay.
And I believe that's what it was.
Is Tomb of Annihilation the same as Tomb of Horrors? It calls back to it.
It's an adventure module written by Gary Gygax.
Yes.
In 1978.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so good. I wasn't wrong there.
So, Tomb of Horrors is Assessorak's tomb, while Tomb of Annihilation is another tomb that just involves Assessorak. It is a different thing.
Okay, never mind. Yeah. I was wrong.
Yeah.
My bad. Ignore me!
But yeah, I know of Tomb of Horrors being shitty. But no. Yeah, okay. Tomb of Annihilation it has a lot of cool stuff. Like, that's the thing. It has a starting city that has like dino races that you can bet on, and like there's like a bunch of other things to this city that I don't know about, obviously, because I watched a playthrough of it, like an actual play of it, and like there was like a goblin city that was hanging in a tree or something. Or I like there's just a bunch of cool things, but there's something about it that makes me averse to it, and I don't know what it is.
Is it
probably the price tag.
Like, oh wait, how much is it?
It's probably the standard. I'll find out.
Crap, now I forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind.
Sorry. Annihilation book. Sure, I'll look on Amazon. How much is it? It's only like $30 on Amazon. That's not too bad.
Oh.
I don't know. The other thing is I don't really want to buy any more
Oh,
D&D
but what I was
books.
gonna say is it essentially a hey, this is really good, now I don't want to play it? You know, like when people tell you that something is really good, is it like that?
No. I don't think it's like that. I think it's just I don't know. Maybe it's because I watched the actual play and now I know a bit more about it, and so I don't know. I have no idea what it is, but there's something about it that I'm like, Fair
enough.
Seen a video on Tomb of Horrors. It's nothing but a giant fuck you to the players. Yeah,
it kind of is. Yeah.
There you go. Gygax love to fuck them over. It's great.
Yep.
Several of these adventures that just sits on the shelf, hasn't been run, hasn't been played. I've read through this entire one because I really like this theme. So I'm super into forests and ecology in the real world. It has some cool mechanics for a hex crawl, which I don't think takes a big part in any of the other adventures of 5e. And of course, it takes a lot of inspiration from the
I believe that's like an overworld kind of crawl where each hex is like a different kind of thing. Because like I think the or not always, but you know, between each hex is something, and like I think the map itself of the island might be divided into hexes instead of like, you know, this is so and so mile. Like it's still like got the miles and stuff, I assume, but I don't know. I believe that's what it is, just like a map crawl of like something interesting.
Okay,
I could be wrong.
I heard the term.
Module, the Tomb of Horrors. But
sorry, wait. Oh, hey, wait, say it again.
Through this entire one because I read this theme. So I am super into forests and ecology in the real world. It has some cool mechanics for a hex crawl, which I don't think takes a big part in any of the other adventures of 5e. And of course, it takes a lot of inspiration from the classic module, the Tomb of Horrors.
Right. Inspiration.
But you can also get a 5e conversion of that in another 5e book that we'll talk about in a minute. So, again, unless you are super into this jungle, tropical forest theme, you probably don't want to get this book, but I will keep this in my keep pile because I like it a lot. And our next one...
Okay, so... so your video is about what we should buy. Now, so far you've used your signifying X and check mark to say if you should or should not. Or at least it was implied to me that it's a should or should not for me, but now it's for you. So now I'm confused. I understand with your words you're saying, hey, if you like it for this reason, then maybe you should get it. You're not giving me a definitive, first off. Which is fine. I think that's perfectly fair in the sense of, like we've said, if you look into it and you like what it is, then you should get it. And I think that's totally fair to do. But with your, like, system, maybe explain it beforehand of, like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because now I'm like, oh, okay, so this is for your benefit.
Now you're just throwing stuff in, and there's not really any. Now there's less rhyme and or reason as.
Well, so now I understand the rhyme and reason of it, right? So now I'm confused as to that is for you and not for me to pay attention to. Okay.
Yeah.
So you made this little graphic thing for you, neato. Like, like that's
nice.
That's weird.
Which
No, like
D&D books should I buy?
That's what I'm saying. Like that seems more for your benefit again, not for ours. And I'm like, okay. Secondly, with that one, I don't think you're explaining too well with like a lot of things inside of the book, because you said it's got jungle and it takes inspiration from Tomb of Horrors. Now, a lot of 5e people don't know what Tomb of Horrors is. Like a lot of people who came into the system. I didn't know what Tomb of Horrors was for a very long time. Even though I played 3.5. Like I never looked into older editions that weren't
that weren't 3.5.
Well, that weren't 3.5, and that wasn't Expedition to Castle Ravenloft, which was based off of the Ravenloft setting, right? So maybe some explanation there. Maybe anything more than just it's a jungle?
No.
Okay. Because, like, I gave more than what you did, and that might have interested somebody. Like, say there's fucking dinosaurs in it. That'll get somebody.
Dinosaurs in it?
Yes.
Oh.
Like I said, there's dinosaurs. So the city that you go to has like dinosaurs being used as like pack animals and such. You can find velociraptors in the fucking wilderness. Like, it has the, like I said, there are dino races that you can bet on. I meant there are dino races that you can bet on.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So like,
because like, don't get me wrong. I heard you say that, but I could, for some reason, I heard you say that. For some reason, I thought he said that.
Oh,
I don't know why.
That's fine. But like, legitimately, like that's a thing.
No, dude, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things. Like I said, there's a lot of cool things in it. It somehow rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Our deep dragon heist takes us out of the jungle wilderness and even out of a lot of dungeons and into the city. What's really cool about this book is that there are actually 4 ways to run it. Basically, there are different villains if you play it in the summer, the winter, the spring, or the fall.
That's true.
Ooh, that's a nice big art piece we just opened up to here. But unlike the others that all take you from level 1 to 11 or 1 to 13, this one takes you from level 1 to 5. So really what you get is this one adventure rewritten 4 ways that's only half the length of the typical campaign contained in these same priced books. Of course, you can probably get it a lot cheaper online, but I always recommend supporting your game store when you can, and this just isn't one that you should get from them. And wow, you know what?
Okay, interesting that it only goes 1 to 5. I didn't actually know that. Obviously, what you could do is scale up each of the different kind of scenarios. If they're all the same adventure, though, you can't really do that.
Yeah.
Because, well, in the sense of like running them consecutively, because I think the end goal of that one is to get into like a vault of some kind, and that's like every season has a different way to do that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it has a lot of cool things. It's also the very, like we said before, the kitchen sink fantasy, where it is like a lot of things together. There's a submarine in it.
Hell yeah.
Like an actual like it's not like I assume.
Oh,
it's
not
like
a fantasy submarine, actual submarine.
So like I assume it's some sort of fantasy submarine, but it's a submarine. Right?
I mean, that's pretty cool.
It's neat, but it's also like, whoa.
Well, I mean, okay. So then let me ask you this. Would you have more problem with a fantasy submarine or with you casting a spell and just wearing heavy boots and walking?
A fantasy submarine.
Why?
Because
what's
the level of
what's the difference?
So the level of technology changes drastically in this case.
I guess so.
Like I don't. So this is taking place in Waterdeep, and Waterdeep is in the Forgotten Realms.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So like
Retracted.
I'm wondering now the state of technology in the Forgotten Realms, and I don't know where it is technically now. Somebody can correct me and tell me if it's gotten to the point of like Eberron, right? Because that sounds like an Eberron thing.
Yeah. My bad.
No, you're fine. It's absolutely a fair question, and like I am perfectly happy to explain my position on it. It's just like I need to know, is this now where we are in the Forgotten Realms because of this book, or is this just something that's now a thing, right?
Yeah.
Like did we get here naturally, or is this just you're there? Because like I do have Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. Hey, that does have lore on the Forgotten Realms. I could read that, but I won't. It's Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. So
it's what now?
I think it's like a blade man in the world. That's what it is.
I'll be right back. I need to go and use the restroom.
Yeah. We'll just continue it.
Yeah, go for it.
Being super critical when now I get to by far the most popular 5e module that's come out with this edition, really, Curse of Strahd. And
only because I like Ravenloft.
I'm not the biggest fan. So this book, as far as I know, was like Chris Perkins' baby, because he loved Ravenloft stuff from the older editions, and so he made this awesome book. And people freaking love it. Vampires are awesome villains in a lot of different folklore from around the world. So it touches on this stuff that you probably expect to find in 5e. Yep. Ooh, another cool art piece there. But it still does this thing where your party is kind of stuck traveling through the Shadowfell, and specifically this one demi-plane within the Shadowfell that is run by Strahd von Zarovich. And so ultimately, I still find it a little too samey. Now, I'll add here that friend of the channel, Mike Shea of Sly Flourish, literally runs this book, I don't know how he does this, as a one-shot every Halloween.
That is
and his group loves it. But that's just for me and my shelf, I don't love the spooky Halloween vampire theme enough for this to really be worth it.
Okay, so fair enough, your preference is valid. My opposition is your points of it feeling like it's the same like place over and over, where that seems like a thing that your DM could try to fix, first off. Second off, there's a lot in that book. Like legitimately Mordenkainen is in that book, spoilers. Like you can find him. And it's a whole thing. Like the variety of locations are between like swamps, forests, mountains. The castle itself is its own fucking like ecosystem in its own way, you know? Like it's so fucking massive.
It's a Castlevania.
It is a Castlevania fucking book. Like the village itself has a bunch of things going on with it.
The murder house.
The murder house is there. The Vistani are they have a camp not nearby but close enough that's like it's got its own kind of culture in a way. Those people there. Yeah, those people are their own like people. Like I do want to run Ravenloft again and kind of like try to do it more justice than I did the first time I ran it.
If you run Ravenloft again, hit me up. I'd be super interested.
Yeah, like it's some of the stuff.
I'll take part in the 4th campaign.
Some of the stuff in Ravenloft is not stuff that I'm like super fond of, because they've changed a couple of things in it from what I did in 3.5, but I think there's a lot to it that is varied to such a degree that it's all in that horror, you know, supernatural vampire theme, but it's not like there's werewolves and stuff too. Like it's not all samey if you don't make it samey.
So there is
and zombies too, sorry.
I forget what hold on, I need to rewind to listen to the first point. No, actually no, he didn't make the point, you did.
Okay.
What was your first point? It was a criticism of his. His preferences are valid.
But I had contention with his points of it being samey.
No, it wasn't that it was samey. I forget what it was. Anyway,
I think that was the only one that I was going off of.
I would highly recommend Curse of Strahd for anyone out there, just because it's fucking cool and Ravenloft is fucking cool.
Yeah.
I have a soft spot in my heart after a certain friend of mine decided to DM a campaign for us there.
Hey.
Hello. Yeah, I wouldn't say like, oh, you have to run this at least once or anything like that.
No.
But if you as a DM want to make something feel particularly threatening for your players, if you want to sort of instill a sense of dread even temporarily,
Yeah.
then lifting like the murder house or werewolves or something from this, or hell,
Strahd.
have Walmart brand Strahd ruling over a duchy.
Yeah, easily. Like
Yeah.
there's so much that you can do with it, and obviously, like with any adventure, you can go off book, like you can go off script easily with it.
Easily.
Like I did my own thing with the dark powers. Like there was a thing that happened in our session where or in our campaign where they wished for, or a character wished for the dark powers to make, or their intention excuse me, their intention was to petition the dark powers in order to have them fix a forest that had started to go ablaze, I believe it was.
Yep, forest fire.
Yes, and it was going up. It was real bad. And there was no way they were going to stop it. And so he petitioned the dark powers in order to revert it back to the way it was. And I was like, oh, the dark powers are gonna fuck with you. Absolutely, they're gonna fuck with you. That's their whole thing. They love this shit.
And the monkey's paw curled.
Yep.
Curled.
And so it curled and
curled some more.
And so I made it so that it was the entire forest was gone. And what remained was prehistoric, basically, in the sense of it being not even prehistoric. It was before, like, dinosaurs or anything. It was microscopic organisms were living on, like, a sulfur field, you know? Like, it was as it was, like, millions of years ago, right? So, and I remember all of you guys were like, oh, does it just like look that way for him? And I was like, no, it is that way. Like, you can go and touch that. And they all went, oh. And I was like, yeah, you're in their realm, bitch. Like,
oh no, like a deer is going to wander into this field and do some fucky evolution with the dinosaurs.
Exactly. Like it was just how it was. And so I that was something that wasn't going to be a thing, and like there were a bunch of options for it that I went with that weren't technically supposed to go together, but I made them all a thing and it was neat.
Yeah. The Ravenloft campaign will always have a soft spot in my heart because I was actually thinking about this like a month ago.
Yeah.
But it was the campaign where I was more or less trying to fix the motorcycle of, which was literally just a reflavored horse. I don't know why he specifically had to have a motorcycle in D&D. But we all just kind of went, huh, that's fucking weird. Okay, and rolled with it.
Yeah.
And he requested repairs done on his motorcycle.
Yeah.
And my character was a real Gilderoy Lockhart type.
Yep.
And was like, oh, I can repair that, no problem. And he shooed everyone out of the barn. And after the doors were closed, he went, whew, okay. And he did some jumping jacks to get himself somewhat winded.
Sweat and shit.
He took some water out of his canteen and daubed his eyebrows.
Yep.
So it looked like he had been sweating, and said, okay, and reopened the doors and was like, wipes the sweat off his brow, and he's like, it'll make it, but it was a lot of work.
I do remember that. Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff coming out of that. But yeah, and I accidentally paralyzed Strahd forever with an NPC. Like that was
the DMPC
Yeah.
one shot Strahd.
Yeah, you know. But anyway, probably wouldn't have a DMPC for anybody in the next run, just because it's 5e, you'll be fine. But yeah, it's a fun time, and there's a lot to go on, and especially with all the changes they made, they added a lot of other things, a lot of characters that you can like recruit, like that can help you, and like there's a lot of fucking locations, and it's crazy. Anyway, to call it samey is so weird to me.
$50. Next, we have Baldur's Gate.
It's only samey in regards to the fact that everything sucks.
Yeah.
It is literally a buffet of options.
Absolutely.
And every single one sucks.
It is very dark. That's the point.
It's samey in how It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia could be described as samey.
Yeah.
Because every single character in that sucks. And every single episode is just a march of misery.
Yeah.
And yet, if you have a friend who knows Always Sunny, like I happen to, you can like just sort of turn to your friend and just say a random quote from one episode, and they will say a random quote from like 2 seasons later. And you all just kind of like nod because everything sucks, but it's different enough to be enjoyable still.
Yeah.
Into Avernus. This is kind of a little secret. I feel like not a lot of talk about this, but I heard in an interview, either on
For integrity's sake, I tried to find this interview again to make sure I heard this correctly, but I could not find it. I'm 99% sure this is legit, but take it with a grain of salt. Okay.
Dungeons and Dragons channel or D&D Beyond with Adam Lee, the lead writer of this book, that he was writing an adventure in the Hells. That was the major theme for this book, and they kind of made him slap Baldur's Gate onto it just to line up with the video game stuff. Grace has read this thoroughly. She seems to be into it, but she really loves the Hells. So as much as I think the desert kind of Mad Max theme, wow, like look at that, of this book makes it probably worthwhile if you're into that. I just feel like it would be too much for me as the DM to play a year-long campaign or more in this same environment. So what we're kind of arriving at here is I personally don't find most of these adventure books to be worth the price tag. But here
it's totally fair for you to have that as your thing.
Yeah.
It's also very obvious that you don't like the same area. You really like to move around. That is your preference as well. So I understand like why you're,
Did he recommend the campaign where the entire place takes place in the Underdark though?
No, he also put that over there.
Okay.
The one that he has recommended has been Waterdeep, and I understand why, because Waterdeep is so vast and different in like its districts and shit, and also that you can do that adventure very quickly, and also that you can do that adventure 4 different ways. It makes sense to me why he would like that more, as it is the same place. But Descent into Avernus, with the Baldur's Gate thing, from what I've seen, again, I watched a playthrough of it a little bit. It was a very short one. But Baldur's Gate thing didn't really factor into it much at all. There's like a portal that you can go to Avernus in Baldur's Gate, and so you go. That's from what I gather. And some people ask you to do that, and so you go. And then there's you're on Avernus, and there's the blood war going on over there, and you can go over there if you want, but you'll die probably. And you have to do other things on Avernus, and also Zariel is over there in the blood war doing her thing. Awesome. Okay. But there is the hell fire engines, basically, whatever they are, that you can feed souls to, or like soul coins to, so they work. Like there is a Mad Max aesthetic to it, which sounds fucking cool.
Yeah.
So
I remember I picked up Descent into Avernus and I went, oh, Avernus, cool, like booze campaign.
yeah,
And I just opened it up and there happened to be like a bunch of like sick ass Mad Max vehicles and I'm like, oh hell yeah.
yeah. There's like a whole like rolling citadel that's like a thing. It's crazy. It's like it is super Mad Max in fucking hell. Like that's it. It's super neat. Yeah. I don't know what the point is. I've never read it myself, but it's got a lot of cool shit.
Hell is canonically Mad Max meets Call of Duty.
Yes.
The recent namesake of my channel, Icewind Dale Rime of the Frost Maiden. I'm not even going to open this one up. I have a whole series of videos on this book. You know, I love it, but I'm still kind of hitting this point where every town is so destitute. The wilderness is the same in all the different wilderness areas, and even the dungeons all, for the most part, have these effects of extreme cold. Overall, this one does a great job, though, of being a setting book for that type of environment. There's tons of locations, tons of stuff, really just too much to use in one playthrough of this book. So if you really want to play something different, because Arctic environments are hardly touched even throughout other editions of D&D, this book is for you. But for me, I'd rather stick with something like Tomb of Annihilation because I love forests and I love a good deadly dungeon. Before we get to our anthologies, let's talk.
Wow, he didn't even put if it was a check mark or not for him. Okay.
Given that he
said he loves it, so yeah.
He loves it, but like he gave that big but.
Right, and so I was wondering where he was gonna put it.
Yeah, so was I, because like he was like, oh yeah, it's samey and stuff, and like as soon as I heard the word samey, I'm like, it's dead in the water
immediately.
But,
yeah,
but then
it doesn't seem like that's the case.
I feel like given it's a no, but he doesn't want to officially say it's a no, given
because it's
the
namesake.
Yeah, how much he has spent on it.
Yeah, I guess to get our this is, and it sucks that this is the case, but you would have to watch his coverage of it in order to understand what he thinks of it more. And like, I don't want a companion piece to this. I want you to explain to me what more than that. So like, and while I will say that what he has given is something, it's not enough for me to go, oh, I should go look into his Icewind Dale videos because I want to know more. He's just said there's a lot in it and it's good for ice places. And like, sure, that's enough to get a lot of people probably, but I also, isn't Icewind Dale the one that didn't sell the best? Isn't that one which one is that one? Or is that something Frost Maiden?
The Frost Maiden.
Okay, that's the one. Never mind then.
Which actually, as someone who is like a slut for snow, I love both modules.
Sure.
I find them super cool because literally no campaign I'm ever part of has taken environmental effects like seriously.
Fair.
You mean like weather?
Yeah, and like it's purely subjective, and I'm more than willing to acknowledge that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's pretty kick-ass.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So this is the thing. I've never read them. I don't know of them, but I would usually, if I were to run something, I would put environmental effects in, like, because they're cool, right? And like, I like the idea of having something set in somewhere that is really cold, and you have to deal with that. And like, he says that it's very samey in each dungeon because of the cold effects, and I'm like, well, yeah, it's really cold.
Yeah.
If I'm in a tundra, am I gonna be warm all of a sudden? What am I supposed to do with this information? You know, is it not something that I expect at this point? But yeah, I don't know. I don't like that it's basically just saying, hey, go watch these other videos to get my actual thoughts on it, because he then also doesn't say if you should buy it or not. It's basically just, hey, I like it a lot. Yep. Not even a do you like cold? Buy. Right? Like, and then he doesn't even do his checkmark thing for it or anything. So
Got a few adventures that I don't have. Hoard of the Dragon Queen, Rise of Tiamat. I've heard both of those are pretty bad. However, much like another one, not in my own stack, Storm King's Thunder, I believe they involve a lot of overland play on the Sword Coast. Hills, forests, mountains, fields.
Yes,
that is, I think, the kind of adventure that I love the most, because it involves all these little micro environments that you can move between. There's dungeons, there's towns too. It's just diverse, and I think that is really important for my style of play.
Okay.
So even though I want it to be, I'm really not excited for this new Feywild book because of that carnival direction that they took it in. But now let's talk about some adventure books that I like. Candlekeep Mysteries, guys. This kind of came out of nowhere, and I like it a lot more than I expected to. It has 17 different mystery adventures. They're not that mysterious or that much more mysterious than any other D&D adventure. I guess the difference is that you don't just know who the bad guy is right off the bat. But what I really like is that it is just 17 adventures. They're written to be played as one-shots. I don't think you can actually pull that off for all of them, but there are diverse environments, there's diverse monsters that you're gonna...
I don't think any of us could pull that off.
Yeah.
Cracked knuckles. Challenge accepted. I'll play them all as one shots.
Oh.
And then I remember the Delta Green one shot, and I remember the Dandelions one shot.
Yeah.
And I remember all the one shot, them quote unquote one shots
that have come before.
And I go, I can do it.
Cracks knuckles with less certainty.
Yeah.
The knuckles crack in a higher octave.
Realizes like I've pulled back one finger too far, and I go and I kind of like wave my hand and baby a finger for a second.
Yeah.
Fight. It's just, that's what I found that I need in adventures. I need to be able to plug and play into a campaign or just find stuff that really stands out to me because it is different. And if I'm trying to play through the same adventure book that follows the same theme for a year, I get bored. That's just me. So Candlekeep Mysteries is totally welcome on my shelf. Definitely worth the $50 price tag. You get 17 adventures. That's like
$50.
Not that much money for each adventure. Alright, and there are two other anthologies that we just don't have. Tales from the Yawning Portal, which contains 5e conversions of some classic adventures like Tomb of Horrors, Sunless Citadel, White Plume Mountain. Now that I am building up some interest in these older editions, maybe that's something to look forward to. And the other one, Ghosts of Saltmarsh, which is supposed to be heavily themed as this nautical seafaring campaign, actually seems like it might be worth a buy. I've played through a bunch of that, at least like 4 levels or so. I was having fun with it, but that campaign just kind of fizzled out. But yes, it isn't really one consistent campaign. It's really 3 adventures from, I think, 2E that have been converted to 5e from the Greyhawk setting and now put sort of in the Forgotten Realms. But now it's time for my actual favorite adventures, the box sets. So as a lot of you know, because it's what brought you to my channel a long time ago, this Essentials kit was kind of my starting set for 5e. And as someone who was kind of deep into rulebooks at the time, this just seemed like a D&D light version that I could really have fun with, and that's exactly what it is. I have come to really like box sets because they contain everything you need. There's a rulebook in here. The rulebook has monsters. It teaches you all about character creation, in this one specifically. It comes with dice, a DM screen, cards, and this awesome adventure, The Dragon of Icespire Peak. It's the only one still built to be played by only 2 people, 1 DM, 1 player, or with a...
Yeah, that's interesting. I was looking at it before because the Essentials kit obviously claims to be what you need, right, to start. And it's like $30 or something retail on the site even. I think. No, $25. And like it says it introduces a new one-on-one rules variant. It has a newly designed rulebook onboards players by teaching them how to make characters and the included adventure Dragon of Icespire Peak. So like, and it has like a DM screen and maps and such. I'd be interested to like look at that and see how much it actually does give for essentials, you know? Because if that's the case, and you wanted to get into D&D, maybe this is the purchase, right? Not just, like, you don't have to get the player's handbook, you could just get this and then extrapolate. But I don't know, because this also... I don't know what level the adventure goes to, so you can't really, like, keep going with it. So that's the only thing that makes me still think that even with this, like, essentials kit, I would say the only thing essential is double the price, unfortunately, but it will last you a lot fucking longer, I think.
Mm-hmm. Maybe, yeah.
Well, it also depends on if you're a creative type or not, if you want to, like, make your own stories, or if you want to do something that's, or, you know, but you can even go on, like, DM's Guild and get free one-shots, you know, and shit like that. So, there's a lot of ways to be frugal as well as, like, able to play, you know? So.
Small party, totally fine. And each of these locations are totally plug and play, similar to Candlekeep Mysteries. So I really like the Essentials kit, and I think it's just a great value because it's like half the price of any of these other big books. Definitely in my keep pile. And the starter set with the famous, pretty much classic at this point, Lost Mine of Phandelver is totally the same in my book. It's just famous for having these goblin ambush and dungeon delving and forest seeking elements that D&D kind of needs. A little bit fewer materials, but still the actual essentials are in this box. So whether you're starting out, whether you've been into D&D 5e for a while, I really can't get over these box sets. Definitely a buy.
I think, isn't Phandelver only found in the starter set? Like, you can't get it anywhere else?
I do not know.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
Let me make double certain on that. Can you buy Lost Mines of Phandelver by itself? Can you purchase the Lost Mines of Phandelver separately from the starter set? No, you cannot. Interesting.
Oh.
But apparently Amazon has it for like $12. So there you go.
Okay.
But having played like the opening of it, yeah, it's neat. It's like a very much a very starter set of things. Nice.
Okay then.
Yeah.
There are...
Oh, why did it restart? I restarted. Oh.
What have you done?
I tried to click play, but I was wrong. Okay.
Still, the actual essentials are in this box. So whether you're starting out, whether you've been into D&D 5e for a while, I really can't get over these box sets. Definitely a buy. However, there are two other box sets that I have zero interest in whatsoever. One is themed totally around Stranger Things. It's supposed to be an adventure written by one of the characters, and I don't know.
Oh god, is it actually supposed to be that? Because fucking that sounds like a horrible thing. They don't understand how D&D works. And they've supposedly
have to roll a 13 to hit with
they've supposedly been playing it for years.
You're going to hit Demogorgon with a fireball.
I'm like morbidly curious, but I don't want to spend money on it.
Good, please don't.
I won't.
Demogorgon has fire immunity, right?
Yeah.
No, he's a demon. Oh
no, he's a demon. So yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah, but that doesn't resistance. Yeah, resistance is fire.
Oh, well, probably because he's a demon prince. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
And everything's immune to, resistant to fire.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
Because I knew he was a demon, but that doesn't mean he can't be immune.
Yeah, most demons aren't. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Devils all are.
Yes.
Yeah, devils are.
Right. Which is why, the assumption. But, yeah. Okay.
God, Demogorgon looks cool.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
He's pretty cool. He's got those, like, monkey heads. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, he got the tentacle arms.
Yeah, they go through. Yeah,
he noodly.
Yeah.
Don't really need that kind of crossover. Same goes for the Rick and Morty one. It's a funny show, but I don't need to play Rick and Morty D&D.
If I want to play, I would agree. Yes, it's a fine show. Don't need to play the D&D version. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, there he is.
Oh boy.
Is that the 4E version of D? Let's see.
I think
5e.
Nope, that's 5e. Yeah.
Crossover. I would love Lord of the Rings to be brought into 5e. But
it has been.
We'll see if that ever
It has been. Yeah. Oh, okay. He's doing the thing. Yeah.
happens again, because it happened before, and then those kind of got taken off the face of the earth. And speaking of crossovers, now we can get into.
So since he didn't say anything about it, and he didn't like edit himself saying anything about it, he just showed a thing. Yeah, there's 5e like version of Lord of the Rings you can play in fucking Middle Earth if you want to. It's very cool. It was on Humble a long while ago. Yeah, it was neat. I didn't get it.
Our
Fair
setting
enough.
books.
Yeah.
Here is the Mythic Odysseys of Theros. This is a Magic the Gathering setting inspired by Greek mythology that has been ported into 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons because they share the same parent company, Wizards of the Coast. This was totally a Grace buy because she loves Greek mythology, and I know she's already taken some inspiration from this book. Personally, I do think it's like the coolest cover out of any D&D 5e book. But as you can see, by this being the only setting book in our stack, we're not really too into setting books. So for me, this is a do not buy. And now let's talk about these other ones.
I would,
Because it's a setting book.
Yeah,
Are you
like
kidding?
exactly. Like that's it. Like okay, so first off,
Yeah, come on. That's not enough.
can you okay, so
Jesus Christ.
But tell us why though.
yeah,
Because no, he did. It's because it's a setting book.
it's a setting book and they're not into
Yeah,
it. Which
I don't accept that answer. But
exactly,
tell us why.
right? Please
Yeah.
give me more context than that because I understand. Like you've read it, I assume. You have to have. You own it. Like, why wouldn't you just take the time when you're bored and you've read everything else or you're just not doing anything else?
Looks at my Call of Cthulhu books that I haven't read yet. Okay.
It's a good thing I'm not talking to you, isn't it?
Yeah, correction. Not Call of Cthulhu books, H.P. Lovecraft books.
Well, but even so,
Same thing.
even if that's the case for this guy too, right? Like, wouldn't you think if you're making a thing about what people should or should not buy, you would do the research? You would do anything to even like give yourself a modicum more credibility, excuse me, of like knowing what you're talking about. Like, I have never looked at this book. All I know is that it's got that it's a Magic the Gathering thing, and it is Greek mythology like based. I knew that before. I know that now. You have not changed my knowledge. You could potentially have interested somebody, but I don't think that I hope that they don't go out and just impulse buy it and then find that they don't like it.
Yeah.
Like I said before, you gotta do research into something that you want to buy, hopefully, enough that you can be confident that you're going to either enjoy it or you hope that you're going to enjoy it from the information that you found. Whether or not you do enjoy it, that is entirely up to your experience with it, right? But with no information other than that, you have not convinced me one way or the other. And I feel like you haven't convinced anyone but a child of whether they want it or not, And hell, a child might not even know what Greek mythology is. They might have just seen the cover and gone, ooh! Right?
Yeah.
Because it's a cool cover. It's a sick-ass cover. They're not going to get that cover because that is like a special edition cover, first off. Like clearly. Everything else has the D&D logo like branded on top of it. You know it has to have. I swear to God, the cover that I'm thinking of is just like a guy fighting a Hydra, but like the Hydra is inside of a Parthenon, but a ruined Parthenon, basically.
Nice.
But it's like way less detailed than that and way less cool. Let me see if I can find it actually, and I'll show you guys. And hold on. Mythic Odyssey of Theros, the first thing that came up. Oh, Google, you know me so well. I don't like it.
Knows you better than you know yourself.
Yeah, this is it. It's still kind of cool. It's not as cool as that cover. Bop. Here, everybody, you can see thing. Look at, can't really, shit. It's like, is it? Yeah, like that.
Oh my god.
It's cool, right?
What the fuck?
Oh, a second.
But,
yo,
right?
Yeah, and what's the super cover?
The super cover is this one, which is the one he has, which is way cooler, I think. Just look at that.
Holy shit!
Right? Look at that.
Woo!
He's even like got some of the heads down and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Goddamn.
it is a cool ass fucking cover. Now, again, that I feel like that's the only thing that a fucking child is gonna see, and is gonna go, yeah. Which is
it
fine.
makes me go, yeah.
Yeah, but you also have like thoughts where you can go, but will I want to buy this? And you'll probably go look into it.
Sure.
Okay, well. Okay, I'm making assumptions, I suppose.
I think you forget I am child, but with adult money.
I see.
Yes, as are we all.
Well, to different extents, I suppose.
But
plastic crack.
Yes, I said to different extents. I wouldn't buy this book.
But that being said, I will agree with you in the fact that if I saw this book on store shelves, I would pick up the book and I would parse through it for a good 15 to 30 minutes.
Right.
Before I bought it to see like what's in here.
What is actually in there. And like I'm not saying it's a bad book or anything.
Yeah,
like
I got before I spend money, I got to know what the dog doing.
Yeah, what that dog doing? Guys, you don't understand. It's a setting book, therefore he can't recommend it.
Yeah, it's bad.
Right. Yeah,
right,
yeah,
that's true.
Oh, it's not okay. Yeah, no, it's not bad.
Well, so that's the thing. He's just completely like made it so that he writes it off, and I'm going to assume, right? And I have no basis for this, but I will say that I'm going to assume that a lot of his audience is going to be younger, and they're going to follow by example because his channel seems very family friendly, at least from this video's presentation and everything that he's been doing, and that it attracts a younger crowd. And a younger crowd isn't necessarily one that thinks.
Yeah, a younger crowd be dumb.
Most of the time, they don't think before they want to buy something, and
they just buy.
And I would heavily recommend maybe making it so that your younger audience thinks a little bit more about these things that they could purchase with money that their parents have, and like. People in general should think before they purchase a thing that they might not like in general, right? Like, just in general, think more. Think
I have
good.
made a grave error. Both my fucking Radicates have run away.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. But I don't know. I could check. The way that I could check is going and finding this video and seeing if he has is this content made for kids thing like checked, right? Like I don't know if there's a way for me to find that out, but I know that every single one of our videos is defaulted to say no. Because I don't want that COPPA fucking lawyer on my ass, first off, and second off, it's not.
I don't want to be taken to court because I said cool.
Right, exactly. Right. So
fuck.
It's so fucked, and like just so that's that perspective of like the younger people. From our perspective as well, it's not an argument at all. It's not a reason at all. It's just hey, we don't like this. Bye.
Yeah,
and like
that's pretty much it.
Sure. for your personal opinion, that's fine. The title of your video. Which D&D books should you buy, with everything being capitalized for buy, with 2 question marks as well, emphasizing the point. Which should I buy, sir? Oh, just write this off because it's a setting? Awesome.
Inadvertently raising the question of should I take this seriously?
Exactly. It is passing itself, or he's passing this video off as it being something that you should take seriously. And, like, he's even done research, and he's put in, for his integrity, that thing of, like, oh, I tried to find the video where I got this quote from, or where I think I got this quote from, and I couldn't find it, but I'm pretty certain.
No, Alejo, he did do his research, though. And he found that it was it Theseus? Theros.
Yeah.
He found that Theros is a setting book. Thus, he finished his research and dusted his hands off and wiped the sweat off his brow and said, it's a setting book, don't buy.
Yes, exactly. Like,
sweat from my brow.
This is the thing. I'm so
confused. Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow, Alejo?
No.
So
not when it's like a half of a single drop.
That's an idiot of a millimeter. Milliliter.
There you go. This is my problem, of course, and it's all of our problems here. Of, like, my guy, if you're going to make a video like this and you're not gonna do anything to tell me of, like, why I should or should not buy this, what are you doing with this video, and why does it seem like it's made just for you? I know you're talking to me or someone through the camera, but it seems like you're talking to yourself and reaffirming why you bought these books and why you have these books.
Was the you in the title meant to be referring to him?
Right, future him when he rewatches it.
Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, Strixhaven, these are other Magic the Gathering things that I'm just not too interested in whatsoever. If you're of the many, many, many people who love Curse of Strahd, you probably want Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. It really just expands upon the Shadowfell and Barovia and...
See, right after, he then starts listing off reasons why you might want something. He didn't give fucking Theros. He didn't give fucking Theros the time of day, or a couple of these others. I hope he does. If he doesn't, then this is inconsistent. What the fuck, man?
You're
I've already taken my bets on whether he will or won't.
Oh, I have a hard fucking set bet in the no column, of course. It's
all that spooky stuff that you probably love. There's also Acquisitions Incorporated,
moved on.
Which the red flag here is that D&D is like my main obsession, and I know almost nothing about that book. And then there's the newer one, Explorer's Guide.
Okay. You did research on some. You didn't do research on others. I know more about Acquisitions Incorporated. I haven't even watched their fucking programs. Like,
I can't fault him for not knowing much about one of the books, because there's a whole ton of books that I don't know a lot
That's
about.
Fine, absolutely.
But that being said, I am at least willing to share what I do know, because he's like, I know next to nothing, which means he does know something.
He knows the name.
You should share what you know and hopefully allow people to do a guided, like, make an informed decision. And if you don't know, Google is your friend.
I was going to say,
it's not like this is an impromptu, like, podcast where I, like, found out at 9:01 tonight that we were doing a theme on which D&D books to buy, and I went, oh, okay, and I rolled with it. This is a
because I trust that you guys can roll with it.
Yeah, this is a prepared video that you ostensibly have had plenty of time to like research and edit and like double check and check forums to maybe introduce opinions from other people who are not yourself and say, what does the collective think about this?
And as like, and
I think about this, but it's like I think it's fine, but it's widely reviled. And then mention that in your video and be
Exactly.
like, yeah, I looked it up and seems to be widely reviled. I like it because of these reasons. People dislike it because of other reasons.
If the purpose of your video is to if the purpose of your video is to tell me why I should or should not buy something, you should at least give me the due diligence of something about these books. And I know, I get it. You don't like settings. You don't like samey things. You don't, but you even gave your samey things before the time of day. Yeah. Okay? Like, you have not given these settings very much. You've given one setting enough that I would go, this is okay. Not entirely something that I would do. And maybe, I don't know, if I were to ask you right now why you didn't give more of an in-depth explanation at all, like even a couple of sentences for each thing, you might even cite, oh, I didn't want the video to be too long, because that's what it fucking feels like.
But
and
algorithm.
Man, the algorithm likes anything that retains watch time, okay? That's what it likes. You don't think that you mentioning a couple of things to add, I don't know, up to 3 minutes to this video would do wonders for your retention rate? Okay? Like, we can't be sticking by this fucking...
But people will then get bored and click off the video.
Then make your video fucking interesting, okay? I'm so sick of it. I don't care. Just make your video better. I don't know what to say. What, like, if you're worried about people clicking off of your video, make a better video. I'm not saying this is a bad video in construction. I'm saying to that hypothetical argument, fucking just kind of work harder at it and understand how this works and understand that you can make it entertaining to a point where you can retain an audience. Add jokes. You did a bit. It was funny.
It was a good bit.
It was a good bit. I'm not trying to be like, you know, completely against what you're doing here. I'm really not. Your purpose of your video is not being fulfilled, and I don't understand why it's here.
I'm playing Pokemon Heart Gold, and I'm trying to catch a new Rattata.
I'm drawing the Lewis structure for deuterated acetonitrile.
That sounds really fucking boring.
It's kind of cool, actually.
Oh, really?
All right, thanks, guys.
It's kind of cool for a chemistry nerd.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Thanks, guys.
It's pretty neat.
Which, speaking of which, actually, I am going to have to duck out early tonight.
That's fine.
Good luck.
Uh-huh.
It's only another 5 minutes. What is gonna happen?
Yeah. Which means it's going to take another 45 minutes of this stream.
Talk about Marvel
goodbye,
for
all.
Yep.
And good luck and Godspeed.
Yep, thanks.
Yeah,
I appreciate
it.
Yeah, so shall we continue?
Yes.
Wildmount, which is a setting from Critical Role, so all created by Matt Mercer. I actually am a pretty big fan of Critical Role, but I just have no interest to really play in their world. Still, I think what that book does really, really well is it includes an adventure. I love that in a setting book because it's like, here's your playground, now here you can play in it. I think ultimately that's kind of the direction these 5e books are going to have to go for me to be interested in them. Now, perhaps one of the other more...
Okay, so you give stuff for that, and that's... Okay, yeah.
Yep. Not for Theros.
Not for the one that you actually own. The one that's
yeah,
right
that's a good fucking point.
The one that's fucking right in front of you. You gave me... It's got some stuff... It's in the Magic the Gathering universe, and it has some Greek themes. It's not enough, man. It's really not enough. Like, why should I have it, or why should I avoid it? It's not just because it's a setting book. Come on.
Contentious picks on our stack, the Monster Manual. This is how you learn how monsters work. It really has hundreds of different monsters of all different kinds, organized quite well. You're going to learn about all kinds of different features that these monsters can have and inspire you to create your own. So new DMs, totally worth the $50 from your friendly local game store. Long-time experienced DMs, think about it some more. We got other bestiaries you might be more interested in. Like...
Okay, interesting. We'll get there, but I agree that you should buy it. You know, we're learning a lot about this man. Like, I didn't think his purchasing advice for D&D books would give insight to this man's soul.
Who the hell said that?
That was Pizza Funk.
Pizza.
Like,
Jesus.
Like, like, I don't want to be, you know, too fucking harsh on the guy, right? Like, he's just doing a video, that's fine, but man, it annoys me to no end when the purpose of your video is not being met at all.
When it's a very, very simple and easy
incredibly easy to
purpose.
do. Yes, incredibly simple. You could even put up graphics of, like, this is the price of this book at your local game store. This is the price of your book on Amazon, you know, because I understand that you want to support your local game stores, and you should. They're very good places, but not all of us have $50. You know, like that. Hell, you might not even have $5. You know, like, it's just
it's America, and the cost of living is fucking ridiculous.
It's fucking yes, and like, who knows what it could be an international thing as well. Like, you don't have, you know, enough for that at your local game store, whatever. But like, even just a price point would give me more information than what you're doing here. Okay,
maybe you live in North Korea and you have to spend all your money on, you know, like
the
6
Glorious
ounces
Leaders
of rice
books.
for the month.
Yeah. The Glorious Leaders D&D.
Yeah.
So, but like, I don't think I'm being too hard on this video. I don't think I'm being too hard on my thoughts in general for this, but if it's a spicy fucking take, deal with it, man. I don't care. Like, make content that is informative if you're gonna make a video that's supposed to be informative.
Example, Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. This contains a bunch of high-level bad guys, and specifically a lot of extra play.
They're not necessarily bad guys, okay? I know that's like a nitpick. I understand.
But it's a monster. It's bad.
Right. I understand. And like, come on, man. It's a little, I mean, come on.
The angels can be assholes.
Yeah, they can be. But like, you could also have a devil be not an asshole, you know? Like, you could have a whole bunch of different, well, I mean, not as much of one. Right? Like, it's a nitpick, but let's move away from it being just bad guys, huh? I don't know. It's a little weird to me.
Sounds a little bit PC. Are you getting offended?
So no. So what I'm saying is the scope of D&D has such a broad variety of possibilities that you can just say monsters and I'm okay with it. Okay?
Yeah.
Like,
or at the very least, you don't even have to do monsters. You could say enemies.
Yeah, enemies is also good.
Because an enemy does not imply bad. It just means a difference of position.
Even adversary works very well. Yeah. Adversary is a great one because it's not necessarily something that a rival can be an adversary, right? Yeah. Like, hell, your friend can be your adversary because they're trying to compete for something that you are, you know? Yeah. It's one of those things that I think works better for the way that storytelling goes in D&D, where your unlikely allies can exist and like do exist a lot of the time. And when you see, like, I don't know, let's not perpetuate like the orc thing, maybe, where they're like, or like the drow thing, right?
Yeah.
We can start like making the popular narrative, quote unquote, that has been like thrust into D&D now by these people who think that this shit is all the way that they think it is. We can start pushing against that by kind of wording it in such a way that you understand what we're talking about. And even those who look in from the outside can understand what you're talking about and not immediately go, oh, they think all women are the worst, right? Or, oh,
in
you
the
think...
case of the drow, they are. No.
I mean, most of the time.
The vast majority, yes.
That's the society. It's completely different than the one that you can understand for us. It's the way that they were brought up, and it's the way that they have to do it for their god. It's a whole bunch of reasons.
Their goddess is literally super fucking evil, and she wants them to be super fucking evil.
She wants them to literally kill each other. It's her greatest joy.
Yeah.
Like... It's almost like there's context for these things.
Oh my god, I'm such a fucking idiot. Oh.
It's almost like there's context for these things for those people who look in on the outside and go, it's just a bunch of men saying women are bad. It's like, no, it's evolved from that. It may have been that before. I don't fucking know what Gygax's head was all about. Who fucking cares? Yeah. Gygax doesn't have a say anymore. He's dead.
Like, hey. Too soon.
But like it's just a whole thing where
it really is.
It's all big, and it just reminds me of this, and there's so much that I have to say about everything. Fuck me.
Yeah, there's always a lot to say about a lot of shit. Is that a big tree?
It's almost like that's why I made the fucking show.
Yeah, to be able to rant at invisible people who don't watch it.
Exactly.
Hi viewers, thank you for your money, by the way.
The planes of D&D. So, if you're into that, totally get this book. But if you're like me and just like material plain, low fantasy, gritty D&D, I would not get this again. Don't buy. Our third and final bestiary currently in D&D 5e.
I mean, that's a personal reason.
Yeah, I suppose that's a fair point.
He did explain it, and like he did give more context to the book, so there's nothing I can be mad about other than like his personal reason.
It's more content, so
I don't know. But
that is a legitimately decent reason. Like it's monsters that are mostly extremely high power. Well, okay, not extremely, but it's relatively high powered monsters, and they're all very fantastical monsters. Yeah, so they don't really fit very well in a low fantasy setting.
Yes,
which is exactly his reason, which is fine.
And I have no issue.
2 months, all about dragons. It's a little slimmer than our monster manual, but it contains an awesome variety of monsters, of course, as well as lore on a lot of classic monsters like beholders, giants, goblins, hags, kobolds, orcs. So stuff that are going to be incorporated into your games.
Unless they're not.
And of course, it contains all these monstrous races. The orc Tabaxi, Firbolg is in this, Kenku, Lizardfolk, Triton, Aasimar. A lot of races your characters or your players will probably want to use in-game. I really like Volo's Guide to Monsters.
Noticed. I also would recommend it.
Really shrunk. All the way down to one of our core books, the Player's Handbook. Of course.
Wouldn't it be fucking insane
if he said you don't need it?
Yeah,
I would love that, actually.
Wouldn't it be fucking insane? Oh, I kind of want it now.
Yeah,
just to
see, be honest,
right? Just to see, but it's not gonna happen. It won't happen.
It's not.
It's just funny to think about.
Yeah, absolutely, it is.
You can get the rule books and some basic monsters in these box sets, which again are going to have everything you really need to play. Then there's also the basic rules, which are free online from D&D Beyond and from Wizard of the Coast. You can download this giant PDF.
It's over
big. 180 pages. So why I think you still should buy the Player's Handbook is because, to me, this is the core book of D&D 5e.
Yes.
It has everything you could really need to know to play.
He was really setting me up there. He was
you for a second there.
I was so scared. I was actually afraid. I did not want the meme to be the reality, okay?
The nightmare becomes reality.
Jesus Christ. I just need a second. Oh,
fucking make the goddamn Pokeballs already, you shitter. Anyway.
Great art, and it was really like the first hardcover 5th edition book to come out from Wizard of the Coast. So to me, it's kind of just a piece
well,
of
yeah, you would
nostalgia
certainly
for this
fucking
current
hope it
edition
would
that we are
be.
still in. I really think the Player's Handbook is just a solid buy. And now jumping over to my other 2 favorite player companion books.
Oh my god, Tasha's.
Oh god, no.
We all were like, ah.
It's like Natasha, meh.
I mean, like, if you like what's in Tasha's, that's fine. I just, it's unnecessary.
Yeah, it really is.
Tasha's Cauldron of everything.
Yes!
Together must have at least like 100 extra subclasses. There are new spells, there are new rules. Like Tasha's Cauldron has a section all about puzzles that you can drag and drop right into your game. Tons of neat adventuring environments. So in a way, kind of summing up a lot of those themes from our adventures, but just in such a concise, awesome way to really make it worthwhile. Xanathar's Guide to Everything has sections really with like supplemental rules, kind of making it like the Player's Handbook 1.5.
I would
and
say
rules
so.
that you'll want to know, like details about how sleep works and what you can do with the tool sets that every character gets, but then doesn't know how to actually use. Oh man, tons of random tables for encounters in all different kinds of environments.
That stuff
I'm
I'm
pretty
not
sure
so-
this one even has just giant tables of names.
Yes.
Making this easily one of the most useful features any DM can have.
Or you could use fantasy name generators.
Yes, obviously
for fucking
there's
free.
Yeah,
and
obviously.
it has like, yeah. Come
But, like,
on.
Well, so I mean, let's be fair as well.
Yeah.
This is to tell you why you should buy the book. Right?
It's true. It is.
So, and like, it is a very useful thing because some of these names probably aren't on there, but probably some of them are.
It'd be funny if they were.
Honestly, I think it might be violation if it is, if there are. But regardless of that, that's another big selling point. Like, it's good. Xanathar's is one of my favorites just because it's really good.
Oh wait, that's Xanathar's. My bad. I thought we were talking about Tasha's again.
Oh no, not Tasha's. Yeah, no. I don't.
Then okay, then it's fine.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
Now it's fine.
Yeah, no, I understand. Like, absolutely, they're name
for fuck's
generators.
sake, why do all these rat-tattas have fucking runaway? God damn.
The hardest part of being a DM. So I know our keep pile is getting kind of tall, but I really think these 2 books...
seems a little less financially viable at the moment for somebody just starting out, but hey,
yeah,
it's cool. I guess this is for somebody who continues to get into the hobby, maybe?
Yeah.
Again, it's really hard to tell where this video is supposed to be, like, pointing me towards. Like, who am I supposed to be watching this video? You know?
Yeah, it's weird.
Worth their money and worth the space on your shelf. Dungeon Master's Guide, yet another of our 5e core books. But if you've already seen my other video on this, or rather on what I consider to be the true Dungeon Master's Guide, you know I'm not the biggest fan. Really, everything in here belongs in here, but what I feel like it's missing is how the DM actually runs the game. So do check out this video about the actual Dungeon Master's Guide, Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master by Sly Flourish. So let me know in the comments what books are on your keep pile, and thank.
So, okay, so even though I agree that you don't need the DMG, I also don't like that you didn't say anything about it, really. All you said was that it doesn't include how a DM is supposed to run a game, which, first off, I don't know if it can. There's no, like, way to quantify that. You run the game how you're going to run the game. It just is giving you the tools for that if you're brand fucking new, right? And if you're brand fucking new, I also don't think you necessarily need it, because the PHB gives you basically everything you need. But like, you just said all the stuff in it, and then you pointed to another video, and I don't like that, man. The point of this video should be why I should or should not buy it. You didn't tell me that. You told me to watch another video as to why I should or should not buy it. And like, sure, that one will probably tell me why I should or should not buy it, but that wasn't the purpose of the video. The purpose of the video, in fact, looks like it's supposed to tell me about a different thing that I should or should not buy. Just in general, because it looks like you're pointing to, and you can see it in this fucking thumbnail, you're pointing to a different book, and you have a smile or a smirk or something on your face, and the DMG has a sad face. oh, it's almost like the DMG is sad that you prefer this book, and I'm going to learn more about that book and why I should get that instead. That's not the point of... The point isn't, like, necessarily, I guess, anything to do with the DMG other than to tell me what's better than it, right? And, like, again, this video is supposed to tell me out of all the D&D books, because that looks like it's a third-party supplement.
It is.
Out of all the D&D books, which should or I should not buy, right? I don't like this video. I don't know if you could tell.
I can tell. Yeah, no, I can tell. Don't worry. I can
tell. He could have made this video differently. Like, I now know more about how this man feels about Stranger Things than I do some of these books. I know, right? I know now more that he likes not samey environments than I do about him and like other campaign settings. That I know anything about any campaign setting. Really. Like, yeah. I know nothing, really, about most of them. 2 of them, I've been told some things. Yeah. I don't remember them.
Me neither.
I've been focusing on how his video is constructed.
The things that he didn't say, ironically.
The things he didn't say. It just...
Yeah.
I'm all wound up now, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the topic for today. I'm not doing another video after that. We didn't even take a midpoint break to talk about our patrons and shit. So what I'm gonna do now is thank our lovely patrons. I apologize to all of you for not saying anything beforehand, because you guys are great. But let me just go back to this screen really quick, and wait, I gotta get to them, because then we'll do patrons, we'll do that, and then we'll do comments, and then we'll end up at the end of the video.
Boy.
It'll be at the end of the stream, we'll end it and everything, and we'll be done. Give me a second, I'm like trying to make sure that everything is just as I need it to be. Yes, it is. Okay, we're good. So, thank you to our lovely patrons. Those of you who could make it, those of you who can't make it, it's fine. I hope you enjoyed the VOD. That being said, thank you to Draco Kraken at tier 4. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Mog0, also at tier 4. Thank you so much. Slazer at tier 4. Also, thank you very much. Steely at tier 4. Thank you as well. Drake Cross at tier 3. Thank you so much. Chris at tier 2. Thank you. Frozen Spaghetti at tier 2. Thank you so much. Or, tier 2. I forgot for a moment that I switched every tier up. Kill Chrono, also at tier 2. Thank you. Thank you to all of our patrons who have donated. Again, all of our money that we're making right now is going to go towards the dice fund in order to make custom dice that we are going to give out to patrons who are at $5 and up, and as well as have available for sale for anybody else who wants to buy them. So that'll happen when it happens, but for now, this is the way that it's going. All donations to the Patreon and to the channel itself, through whatever means, whether that be in the chat, through the donation link that you can get through the bot, or through the website that you can go, and the donation link now works. Don't worry about that.
That's good.
Yeah. So you can do that as well. And the any supporting stuff that you can get from TeePublic with either the old logo or the new logo, all the proceeds are going to be divided between going to us and to the artist for the new logo. A percentage of that will be going to the artist to help support, because super appreciate the art. It's really fucking cool. And yeah, so it'll be going to them and the dice fund. And also, if you go to Humble and use our partner links. Oh, I'm on the dashboard. Whoops. We have a Humble partner link that is in the description. Also, you can find it through the bot. Also, it's on our Discord and everything. It's everywhere you can find it. I've yet to put a post on the actual channel, like on the YouTube channel, but I will do that later. Maybe tomorrow, we'll see. But you can buy stuff through Humble, and it also does go a percentage of it that you can choose can go towards us or the developers or the charity of Tabletop Alliance. So you can support us that way as well and go towards that dice fund. And yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on Humble right now. There's still that bundle for the Warhammer Fantasy RPG that you can get. There's only 8 days left of it right now at this time of recording. When you see it as a VOD on Friday, it'll be about 5 days left, I think. So yeah, if you want that, go get it. Otherwise, there are a bunch of other bundles. There's the monthly. Humble's a great site to get things on. It's super good. I highly recommend it. I've been using it for fucking years. I literally own thousands of games because of this. Not thousands, but over 1,000. Because of this site. It's fantastic. And
he's almost finished 10 of them.
That's it's more than that, but it's less than 50. In the sense of like 100%, I guess. I have finished quite a few of them. I do have a finished category actually in my listing on Steam.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, so if you want, go there. Other than that, obviously, if you've made it to this point, you made it through all the Marvel fucking shit, and you made it through that video and everything. I hope we've at least kept your interest with our discussions and our talks and such. And you might even subscribe. Maybe think about it. Do whatever you do, and hell, leave us a comment if you want. We read them out. We'll read them out at the end, just like we're about to read out a couple of them. Right now. So, without further ado, let's get to a couple of comments. So, we did a stream on Halloween where we played fucking Back for Blood.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty fun. Yeah, you were there. So was Aiden, and so was I, and so was Broken. No Nat Ones for those who don't know.
Oh.
Don't worry, I got there. But it was a great time. We had a good time. There's 8 hours of it. You can go and catch it. It's up on the channel.
We beat the whole game. So if you're not interested in playing the game, you can watch it and you get the whole story.
That's true. And hell, it might even make you want to buy the game. It's a really good game.
It's really fun.
Yeah, we got a happy Halloween, y'all, from a host Jackrabbit. So thank you. Happy Halloween to you as well. It's past it, but hey, thanks. Other than that, we did get a comment from Lux on last episode. I'm starting to die in my throat, if you can't tell. So,
yes.
Lux says, I just got called in to go to work at 6, and it's already noon, so mistakes have been made. Hopefully this comment isn't in too bad a shape. Haven't silenced all of my mind goblins over it yet, but here we go. For the first part of the episode, while I also don't have very many dealings with children in recent years, there was a time in my life when I actually was a child, so I believe I have some experience to draw upon here.
Okay.
One point I would mention is that while I know that some kids are more easily scared than others, I was playing Mortal Kombat and watching movies like Aliens and Terminator at the age that this module seems appropriate for. I guess I would read Goosebumps too, but I pretty much immediately slid from that into secretly staying up late to watch Tales from the Crypt. What a cool kid. I wasn't that. What really creeped me out was alien abductions, but anytime there was a show on that that had to do with that, I was all over it. So basically, even if something might be scary to a kid, that doesn't automatically mean they're not going to be into it. That's true. That's absolutely true. As far as the monsters in the module, actually, before I continue with that, like I'm a fucking scaredy cat. I've been a scaredy cat for fucking years, right? And like I was still into like a lot of the horror stuff that I had witnessed as a child. And like Harry Potter scared me when I was a kid, but I loved it. It was great for me, you know? Like, I was still into it, so... Anyway, just to bolster the point. As for the monster in this module goes, I don't think that it would really be too scary for most kids, at least not if you present it as an enemy that gets in their way. You could probably present it in a scary way, and then it might be a different story. Once you've suggested to the kid that they should be afraid of it, then that idea will be in their mind. But if you don't give them that idea, they won't necessarily come to that conclusion on their own. So overall, I don't think there's too much to worry about in terms of the content of the module being suitable for its intended audience. If anything, the greater risk is probably them thinking it's too childish for their liking. Just pay attention and make sure they're not actually getting too freaked out. And if that does happen, back off and do whatever you have to do to make the situation feel safe for them again, whether that's something you can do in the game or taking a break from it out of game. Also, even though the player is presumably a kid, it's never impossible that they will go totally off course and leave you stuck as the DM in a world that you know next to nothing about running a game that has suddenly become open-ended. Don't just assume that won't happen. Be ready to get creative at all times. That's true. That's not something we brought up ever. Absolutely, that's a possibility. And like, I don't think it's that hard to really come up with like not cute necessarily, but like themed things for a nerd's world, you know?
Yeah.
It seems very easy to go, oh look, it's a mushroom sorry, a candy mushroom like person that's trying to get you, you know, like something like that.
Keep going. Yes.
Oh, and it really wants to give you a hug, but hey, that hug, you know, you've seen it give a hug to a bunny, and it fucking killed it.
Oh shit!
So you don't want that thing to give you a hug, and in fact, it's probably a bad idea. So you gotta either maybe you could run. Maybe you could, I don't know, bonk it until it sleeps. Or you could just murder it. I don't know. Death. Yeah. I don't know. I'm tired.
Yeah, no, I can tell.
Anyway. Moving on. I don't see much to add for the second part of the video. You discussed everything there pretty thoroughly. Nothing else is really coming to mind. However, my mind did go off on a tangent. Hey, don't worry, it's not a uncommon occurrence here on TableTalk. At the mention of Squall being a bad character. Squall is a bad character, and he causes Final Fantasy VIII to be a bad game. Well, it's between him and level scaling, in most cases where I've seen it. I hate level scaling. The only way it can work is if you have a very well-balanced combat system where you can build your characters around whatever playstyle you prefer, and the enemies will scale in a way that makes them always be an appropriate challenge for you. Even when it's done that way, I'm not sure I see the point in it, but at least that keeps it from causing any problems. But with the way FF8 does level scaling, if you don't expertly plunge the labyrinthine depths of the game's magic drawing the game's magic drawing and junction system, enemies will scale right out of your league. What's worse is that the game doesn't actually tell you about the level scaling. So if you don't happen to notice it with your own notice it on your own, you can spend ages trying to level grind your way past the harder sections. And of course, it's truly wonderful to make it all the way to the end after dragging yourself through weeks of mindless grinding, only for the game to have become basically unwinnable for you. But anyway, Final Fantasy is a little bit hit or miss when it comes to having good protagonists. Final Fantasy games have a tendency to have a good story buried somewhere in them, but that story tends not to be the protagonist's story half the time. In Final Fantasy VIII, I would say that Cypher, Rinoa, Adina, and Languna, I've never played Final Fantasy VIII, all have good stories. Squall has his own moments, but for the most part, he's only there to serve as a pair of eyes, to see other people's stories through. It's one of the games in the series that would be better if it had been done with an ensemble cast instead of a single protagonist. Even as it stands, some of the best parts of the game are the parts where you're not controlling the game's main character. Usually, if a game is bad, I don't care. I either won't play it, or I will play it because it's still fun, despite its flaws. But Final Fantasy VIII manages to show me a world that I want to experience, and some characters that I actually like, while it hides all that behind a wall of gameplay that I hate, and a main character that I care very little about. So that's upsetting.
Oof.
And I guess I'm going to cut this off here. Fair enough. Yeah, play what you like. Don't play what you don't like. Easy.
Yep.
I liked Final Fantasy 3/6.
The one where you become a paladin after being a Dark Knight for a while?
No. The one that was marketed in America as 6, but was actually 3 in Japan.
Oh, I know. But what was the story?
The story is you start as the what's her name? Shit. Is it Terra? I think it's coming to my mind as Terra, but I might be wrong. She was a like magic user, I think, and she was being used by the like Empire or whatever in their Magitech, right? And you start off with like in the Magitech suit with these two guys, like Bob and somebody, I think. And you
yes, a very Japanese name, Bob.
Well, you know.
I know.
And you are going to this place, and in order to, I think, get an Esper that's trapped in like a crystal, and you eventually, I think you free it, and it like breaks the Magitech and kills the guys, and then you get introduced to your second character, who's a dude that I don't remember his name, but he's like a thief character, and then you are trying to wake up the Espers, and that's like the point of the game, and you get an ensemble cast, and it's really cool, actually. And you get an airship at some point, because you always get an airship.
Yeah, because it's Final Fantasy.
Because it's Final Fantasy, yeah. You get it pretty late, and you have to go against a guy named Kefka.
Okay, so this is the one with Kefka.
Yeah, and he builds a giant tower, and I never beat him because my first party always died, and then I never leveled my other guys to the point of my first party, and so they also died. And then my third party that also I never leveled, because you can't level Shadow, because fucking he's a mercenary that you can only get like half the time, and he doesn't stay for very long. So
that sounds like a stupid gameplay choice.
I don't understand that one. I don't know if there's something I don't know about the game. Maybe there is, to make him stay longer, and you can actually grind with him and like make him better. But I never took the time, and I played through that game twice and got to the same point and just didn't take the time both times, and then I never beat it, and I really should, because it's a really good game as far as I remember. It's grindy because it's Final Fantasy, but I liked it. And I'm not usually into grindy games as much anymore.
Monster Hunter
anymore.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, that's a cool game.
I like the one where the guy turns from a Dragoon and Dark Knight into a Paladin.
I do remember that one. That was called Final Fantasy 3, I think.
Okay. I don't fucking remember which one it was.
Dude, I don't know.
That was the only one that I ever played.
But I did play that for a little while, and then I stopped because I didn't want to grind. So I was like, fair. It's a different thing between like Final Fantasy and like something like Chrono Trigger, where Chrono Trigger has specified fights where if you fight everything, you're gonna be fine.
Oh yeah.
And like there's no like random fights, unless there is some random fights, but like they are like not all the time, right?
So it's not random encounters, it's actual sprites that you encounter on the field?
No, so they are random encounters, but there's a certain amount in an area, I think, for a couple of sections, right? Because I think it's been a long time since I've seen the game and tried to play it myself. But yeah, it's cool in the sense that you don't have to grind. Like, it's not necessarily a thing that you're grinding. It really feels like it's all organic, and it doesn't feel like you're going back and forth in a bush or something, you know?
You say that as I'm going back and forth in grass.
I figured.
Training my goddamn new Rattatatas.
It's a safe bet to say so when you're playing Pokemon that you're going back and forth.
I could have been in
grass.
A cave or on water, you shitter.
That's true, but it's still a safe bet.
I know. It's 1 out of 3.
Yeah. So that'll do it for us for tonight. My brain is full of things.
Full of Marvel and and anger.
More that, and frustration. But so overall, I'm interested to see other videos in this guy's channel. By the way, if you don't know, we always put links to the videos in the description, and if you don't, you should go check out the person yourself and like maybe even watch their video as well. We try to give credit, of course, because we always say what it is and what the video is and shit, and it's always there. So, but I'm interested to see if this is a anomaly, really.
Yeah, right.
Or
if this is kind of the normal.
Yeah, because I'm like, it can't be the normal, right? Like,
here's hoping, at least.
It just doesn't feel like this is the type of video that someone this put together and seems to care would make.
Yeah.
But it is a video that they made, so
yeah.
What am I supposed to
But
think?
then again, Cody. So
but
I'm just saying the fucking the precedent has been set. There we go. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Bye. Yeah, so thanks everybody for hanging out, and if you're watching in the VOD, thank you as well. We'll see you next week.
Yep.
Goodbye.
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 Goodbye.